Base of the end of the world starting with 5 million points. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 326. First battle in the main city. Time is like the water of Sujiang River, passing by every moment. Half an hour passes in the blink of an eye. Read at this time, all zombie corpses, cars and other obstacles on the Sujiang Bridge have been cleared away and thrown into the Sujiang River. This has added many floating corpses to the river surface and dyed this section of the Sujiang River water dark red layer. When the rest time was over, Su Anmin immediately ordered the troops to cross the bridge. The tank took the lead, followed by the armored vehicle. Behind the two there were soldiers who had not boarded the vehicle. Luo Ren jumped across the bridge and climbed up a 7-story building. This building had a good view and was suitable as a survey post point. Suddenly there was the sound of footsteps behind him. He turned around and saw 5 or 6 skinny zombies staggering towards him with their claws and teeth bared. They were all ordinary zombies, and he killed them all in a matter of seconds. Then he stood on the fence and looked at all directions. Whenever a zombie showed up and attacked the team crossing the bridge, he would take action immediately to eliminate the danger in the shortest possible time. The goshawk high in the sky kept sending out its hawk, using big fish to lure out the zombies from the dark, prevented them from crossing the bridge rashly and being attacked by zombies, which would have caused huge losses. Luo Ren was very grateful for this. At this time, he also guessed that the constant sound of eagles was trying to persuade him not to enter the depths of the main city. He looked up at the goshawk, grinned, and shouted, "Thank you." The sound of eagle came to an abrupt end. As a level 3 creature, the goshawk's IQ is not inferior to that of humans. Seeing Luo Ren's expression, it already knew that Luo Ren had made up his mind, so it hovered for a while, uttered the last sound of eagle, and then fluttered its wings and flew away. Gone. Luo Ren looked back, and a smile appeared on his face. It must be said that animals have more friendship than many humans. The large army had already begun to cross the bridge, and the 8 people from the military area were mixed in with the team to defend against zombie attacks. Su Anmin followed the team at the end for the same purpose. Bridge was 1 or 2 miles long, and it took all the soldiers 1 to 20 minutes to cross the bridge. It may be that the zombies had been frightened back by the power just now, and no evolved zombies dared to sneak attack. After more than 10,000 people crossed the bridge, they immediately adjusted their formation under Su Anmin's order, and Luo Ren turned his eyes to the main road in the city. The 6-lane avenue is full of car accident scenes and is covered with abandoned vehicles. The smooth asphalt avenue has not been maintained for a long time and has cracks in many places. The green trees on the roadside, which are usually as thick as a bowl, have now grown as thick as a wash basin, with lush branches and leaves completely blocking the walking path under the shade of the trees. Some branches even pierced the windows and grew into the houses among. There are also ivy. Buildings with only 5 or 6 floors are almost completely covered with ivy. Some high-rise buildings with more than 10 or dozens of floors are also covered with ivy, but they are not completely covered. Only some commercial buildings with glass mirrors are covered with ivy. No harm from ivy. Due to his blocked vision, Luo Ren could only see these scenes at this time, but could not see the mysterious corpse hall in the city center, which was still a certain distance away. "Sir. Luo, come down quickly, we are leaving." Suddenly, he heard Su Anmin calling from below. Luo Ren looked down. He saw 7 floors, more than 10 meters high. He jumped down and fell to half his waist. He stretched out his hand to grab several thicker vines. Although the vines were 2 fingers thick, they were still thick. It is not lignified, so it cannot bear the weight of Luo Ren, who carries more than 200 kilograms of silver kiss knife and weighs more than 100 kilograms himself. All the click sounds were cut off. Although it could not withstand it, it also got some buffering, so the second half of the fall slowed down a little. It landed with a dong sound, causing dust to fly on the ground. Under the gaze of more than 10,000 horrified eyes, Luo Ren emerged from the dust unharmed. Walked out. Although it wasn't the first time I'd seen it, it was still magical to ordinary people like them. The team moved forward on the wide main road. After only walking 100 meters, they encountered trouble. The vehicles on the road needed to be cleared one by one, otherwise they would not be able to move forward. Faced with this situation, Su and Min had no other choice but to mobilize a company of troops to clear the roadblocks, while the army followed behind and moved forward slowly. As expected of the main urban area, the difficulty of road march alone is inferior to the suburbs. Luo Ren was sitting in the armored vehicle. On the surface, he seemed to be concentrating with his eyes closed, but in fact, he was listening in all directions. He would react immediately to any slightest movement. Just like this, we marched slowly and leisurely while clearing the roadblocks. We only walked about 1 kilometer in half an hour. It was really too slow. Sudden clang, the sound of a porcelain bowl or teapot falling was heard. This crisp sound made everyone stop and be alert. The two hands holding the gun couldn't help but work harder, and thin cold sweat appeared on their foreheads. Crack. The whole place was silent for a few seconds. Suddenly, there was the sound of breaking glass again. Among the surrounding houses, zombies emerged from, no matter which floor they were on. Those from high floors fell to the ground. Some were broken directly, some had their limbs broken, and some were lucky. The others did not suffer much damage, and they showed their teeth and claws like evil spirits released from hell. Luo Ren's eyes opened at this moment. He stood up, drew out the silver-kissed sword, and stood proudly. At the same time, Su and Min gave an order, and gunshots were heard continuously, forming a hail of bullets. The flying bullets broke the hands and feet of the zombies who were extremely hungry for fresh flesh and blood, shattered their bodies, and smashed their heads. The sound of gunshots alerted more zombies. A large number of zombies kept coming from different alleys and streets, braving the hail of bullets, and fearing life and death, just to get a bite of fresh flesh and blood. Dong dong dong. It was like a large hammer hitting the ground hard, making a loud sound, causing the ground to shake. No matter it was Luo Ren, Su and Min, or the soldiers, they already knew that it must be a power zombie making such a noise without thinking too much. Huge power zombies ran out of the streets and alleys. There were level 1 power zombies covered in fat, and nearly level 2 or above power zombies covered in muscles. They were all extremely ferocious, with deafening roars coming from their mouths. Su and Min immediately ordered the use of individual artillery. The soldiers also reacted quickly. In fact, the soldiers carrying the individual artillery had already been prepared. The armor-piercing shells had been loaded and were waiting for the order to be fired. At this time, the order arrived, and they all aimed at the tall power zombies and pulled the trigger. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, a large ball of flame burst out from the muzzle, and armor-piercing shells were fired from it. The huge recoil caused the body of the firing warrior to lean backward. An armor-piercing bullet can kill a level 1 power zombie. If you are lucky, you can also kill a level 2 power zombie with one hit. However, the probability of killing a level 2 power zombie with one hit is very slim and almost impossible. The highest probability is when there was a bloody hole in the body that was bigger than a fist, and it would take a few more shots to kill them. Therefore, when a wave of cannonballs were fired, some missed and some hit. The level 1 zombies were hit with fat all over their bodies, and their bodies were directly blasted to pieces. Even though their heads were still conscious, their combat effectiveness was gone. A zombie with quasi level 2 strength is hit, has its arm exploded, or is pierced. Unless the vital part is hit, it still has the ability to continue fighting. The level 2 zombie was penetrated, and dark red blood gurgled out, but its combat effectiveness was not affected. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The zombies whose combat power had not been defeated by the first wave of shells grabbed the heavy objects around them and threw them. Most of them were abandoned vehicles, and some broke off the branches of green trees and threw them like spears. All members of the Tiger's special forces blocked the projectiles. Su and Min shouted loudly, and the 8 people from the military area immediately spread out across the team to block the heavy objects thrown by the power zombies. Su and Min was no exception, and also took action to block it. Luo Ren swung the sword horizontally, hitting the heavy object back like a baseball point. Although 10 evolvers tried their best to block it, the battle line of the 10,000 people team was very long and there were so many enemy zombies that it was difficult to take full account of it. Some heavy objects still slipped through the net and hit the team. The screams of the soldiers suddenly sounded, and there were still some soldiers were directly cut into meat patties, or their chests and heads were pierced by branches, and they had no time to scream. Luo Ren frowned when he saw this situation, and then shouted, "On my side." The individual artillery ceased firing. After that, he jumped out, reached the power zombie in a breath, and then slashed down with the silver kiss. Level 3 zombies have all been killed by the silver kiss, not to mention these level 1 and 2 power zombies. When the sword falls, there will be zombies to kill it. When Suan-min saw the situation here, he immediately followed the instructions and jumped out of the team. A pair of iron fists were in full swing. From time to time, zombies were killed under the iron fists. The two of them are level 3 evolvers and can quickly kill level 2 power zombies. But among the 8 people in the military area, only Sun Cake-sun can kill level 2 power zombies at a faster speed with all his strength. The other 7, it's just level 2 evolvers who can't do it, so they can only continue to block the heavy projectiles. Suddenly, the object being thrown was several times smaller. When they took a closer look, they were all shocked to see that it was actually a speed zombie. Those power zombies actually threw the speed zombie over. Their intention was very obvious. Zombies at this speed are not as large or heavy as abandoned vehicles. Instead, they are very light, and the frequency of being launched immediately increases several times. Those speed zombies that were not blocked fell into the army and immediately began to kill all directions. Blood splattered everywhere, and screams continued. Luo Ren and Suan-min immediately returned to the army and began to deal with it. Speed zombies focus on speed rather than defense and strength. As long as they are faster than a certain amount, they can be killed. The two of they are fast and powerful. If these speed zombies break into the army and are locked by them, they will definitely die within 10 seconds. This battle lasted for nearly an hour. Many evolved zombies were killed on the spot, and more ordinary zombies were killed by bullets. Then, under the roar of multiple evolved zombies, the remaining zombies retreated, and the battle came to an end. Luo Ren glanced across the team. It was a mess. He saw many corpses of soldiers who died tragically. Looking outside the team, there was a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, but the blood was dark red zombie blood. Sure enough, after crossing the Sujiang Bridge, we entered Hell. Suan-min comforted the soldiers and ordered to count the casualties and remaining ammunition, as well as collect evolutionary crystals. When the casualties were tallied, he came to Luo Ren and said, 757 people were killed in this battle, and less than 3/10 of the ammunition was left. The reason why so many people died in the battle was not that all of them suffered fatal injuries. Most of them were scratched by speed zombies and then infected with the zombie virus. There was no other way, so these people had no choice but to commit suicide. Luo Ren frowned and asked, "Can less than 3/10 of the ammunition support us to reach the city center?" Suan-min calculated in his mind, then nodded and said, "It should be no problem." After a pause, he added, "But to be on the safe side, we need to create more level 2 evolvers to increase their power." Luo Ren asked, "You mean that the evolutionary crystals obtained will no longer be distributed widely, but will be used collectively to create level 2 evolvers?" "That's right." Suan-min nodded, then pondered for a moment, calmed down, and said, "I know this request is a bit excessive, but I still want to say that I want you to take out the 2 level 3 evolution crystals to generate 2 level 3 evolvers to increase the overall combat effectiveness of our army." Chapter 327 Night, Part 1. Luo Ren stared at Suan-min expressionlessly. He heard what he just said clearly and was making calculations in his mind. At this moment, he turned his eyes slightly to the side and saw a person walking towards this direction. It was Sun Cake-sun. Sun Cake-sun came to the front and said directly, "Sir Luo, the team leader is not doing it for himself. Our team does need more evolvers." Apparently he heard what Suan-min just said and stepped forward to agree. Among this army of 10,000 people, who is most suitable to become a level 3 evolver? Needless to say, it must be him. As long as Luo Ren is willing to hand over to level 3 evolution crystals, he can take that step and become a level 3 evolution. Suan-min said, "Every time our strength increases, many people will die less. It is just to level 3 evolutionary crystals. After this mission is completed, I will report it to the military region to give you corresponding compensation. Luo Ren glanced at their faces. Su Anmin's eyes were sincere, and Sun Cakesun had a faint smile on his lips. He suddenly smiled and said, I'm afraid it won't work if I take out both of them. Hearing this, Sun Cakesun was even more surprised than Su Anmin. He said anxiously, do you mean you can take out a level 3 evolution crystal? Seeing his excited look, Luo Ren sneered in his heart and immediately said to Su Anmin, I can take out an evolution crystal and give it to you, but I have a condition. Su Anmin said, please speak. Luo Ren said, my condition is very simple. This level 3 evolutionary crystal cannot be given to him. He pointed at Sun Cakesun and uttered one word, use it. Sun Cakesun was stunned for a moment, and then he felt as if he was struck by a thunderbolt. He couldn't help but feel angry, flooding his mind. With an angry face, he pointed at Luo Ren, held it in for a while, and uttered one sentence, why? Luo Ren smiled coldly and said, why? It's just my stuff. I can use it for whoever I want. Do you care? You. Sun Cakesun was furious, but couldn't find the words to refute. He could only look at Su Anmin and said anxiously, team leader, among the 8 of us, I'm the only one who is a quasi level 3 evolver and is the most suitable for taking it. Level 3 evolution crystal. Su Anmin waved his hand to stop what he was saying, then patted his shoulder. Under his gaze, he sighed with helplessness in his eyes, and then said seriously, Deputy Commander Sun, what we are doing now is to strengthen the overall in terms of strength. You are a quasi level 3 evolver, and you are already at the top level of the team. Whether you become a level 3 evolver or not is of little significance. Uning and Ushang are both level 2 peak evolvers, so it is more appropriate for them to take level 3 evolution crystals. Sun Cakesun's head suddenly became buzzing, and he staggered back, tripping over pieces of the car with his back foot and almost falling. After a while, he forced out a smile that was uglier than crying, and said against his will, everything is at your discretion. After that, he looked at Luo Ren deeply, then turned and left. Su Anmin stared at Sun Cakesun's leaving figure. The helplessness in his eyes gradually disappeared, and his expression returned to its usual state. As the person in charge of the army, he must make reasonable overall arrangements. What he said before was not because of Luo Ren's influence, but because of his true intention. He just happened to say it at this time, but not all the internal conflicts. At least most of it was transferred to Luo Ren. He retracted his gaze, looked at Luo Ren, and said, I have expressed my position in person. Can you rest assured, Chief Luo Ren re-examined Su Anmin. This was really Su Anmin's brother. He was so cunning and cunning. The two brothers and sisters had very different personalities. Then he handed over the evolution crystal in his hand and said, take it. Su Anmin happily took the evolution crystal, said a few words of thanks to Luo Ren, and then went to select someone to become a level 3 evolver. Luo Ren stretched out, jumped onto the armored vehicle next to him, and then lay down on the roof of the vehicle, looking at the sky. At this time, the sun had already shifted to the west, and it would be setting in 3 or 4 hours. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew by, rustling the leaves on both sides of the road, blowing over his body, and feeling very cool. Luo Ren turned his head, and looked at a tall building with more than 10 floors. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he asked in surprise, mutated zombies? He saw a humanoid creature flying from the top of a tall building to another tall building. The creature was gray and black, with 2 antenna-like things growing on its head. He didn't know what kind of mutated zombie it was. What is surprising is that this creature is not like the mutated zombies we have encountered in the past, which are basically naked, or with a few rags hanging on them. It is actually wearing intact clothes. Could it be that mutant zombies are just like humans? Some are shameless and some are ashamed. With this in mind, he didn't think much about it. After all, judging from the speed of the mutant zombie just now, it was only at the peak level of level 2. Not much of a threat. After 20 or 30 minutes of rest, Su Anmin ordered the team to continue moving forward. Luo Ren clearly felt the vibration of the armored vehicle beneath him, and at the same time, heard the low roar of the engine. Suddenly, 2 swish sounds pierced the air. He turned his head, and saw 2 people standing next to the car. One is Su Anmin, and the other is a sturdy man with a loyal appearance. Luo Ren knows that this man is one of the 8 people in the military region, but he doesn't know his name. He turned over and jumped off the roof, looking at Su Anmin and the others. Su Anmin immediately introduced, "This is Huning. He heard that the level 3 evolution crystal was given by you, Commander Luo, so he asked me to bring it here, saying that he wanted to thank you in person." Yeah. Luo Ren heard this and slightly, then looked at Huning and said, "You don't need to thank me. I didn't voluntarily hand over the level 3 evolution crystal." After this, Su Anmin turned his head away awkwardly, but Huning still clasped his fists and bowed, saying in a very chivalrous manner, "No matter what, this level 3 evolution crystal was given by you, and I used it to break through to level 3 as a favor to you, so I must say thank you." He paused for a while, then solemnly said, "Thank you, Luo." Ren just nodded, without saying anything else, then jumped back to the roof and sat down, saying, "It's time to go." Su Anmin patted Huning on the shoulder and ordered, "Go back to your seat." "Okay." Huning responded and left. After watching Huning leave, Su Anmin gave the order to set off. The team moved forward, just like before, with a company of more than 100 people clearing roadblocks in front, and the main force following closely behind. About 4 hours later, they encountered 3 large-scale zombie attacks on the way, and the team lost nearly 4,000 people. The distance they advanced was only 7 or 8 kilometers, and there were still 3 or 4 kilometers to the city center. Although it was not far, everyone knew that the danger of these 3 or 4 kilometers was more dangerous than the 7 or 8 kilometers they had already walked. At this time, the sun set and the western night fell. Fortunately, there was a little light from the bright moonlight. The danger of traveling at night was more than doubled. Luo Ren and Su Anmin discussed and decided to stay where they were and set off after dawn. Chapter 328 Night, Part 2. Bonfires were lit in the team, and the aroma of food lingered in the air. It is common sense that firelight is easy to attract zombies, so why do we need to light fires? However, they did not know that light attracted zombies far less than the smell of flesh and blood. The smell of flesh and blood of thousands of people was so strong that lighting some more fires would not only not cause trouble, but also provide lighting. If there were zombies to attack, they could see clearly and aim much more clearly. Luo Ren paced among the troops and felt thirsty, so he took out his water bottle and drank the water from it. He took a few gulps and drank all the water in the water bottle. He sighed and said, "Great. Brother, do you think we can go back?" "I don't know." "Go back? I don't think I can go back. 4 or 5,000 people have died along the way, and the road ahead must be even more dangerous. Hey, if I die, remember to go back and burn paper for me." "What nonsense are you talking about? I'm still waiting for you to burn paper for me. I don't want to send off the young with white hair." "Ha ha ha, Luo." Ren put down the water bottle and heard the soldiers on the left talking. He looked sideways and saw that they were soldiers from Zaire. Unlike the guards, they were mass-produced. Whether they were fighting or resting, they would not have too many words or too many thoughts. But these people are different. They were born by their mothers and raised by their fathers. At this moment, they can face death so calmly, which is admirable. At the same time, it is also regrettable. He shook his head slightly and sighed slightly. Some things always need to be done by someone, and there will always be someone who sacrifices. I hope that the mother corpse is worth so much sacrifice. The night wind blows, and the leaves rustle. The bright moon hangs high, and the dark clouds cover it. Whoosh! The sound of breaking through the air sounded, and the black shadow quickly passed by in the sky. The speed was very fast, and ordinary soldiers could not see it clearly, but Luo Ren could see it clearly. It was a bat. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. One bat passed by, and then more bats flew over the team. The smallest of these bats was as big as a half-grown rooster. In addition, many TV dramas and movies describe bats as blood-sucking monsters, so it would make people feel more scared. The soldiers on guard raised their guns to the sky, and the soldiers who were resting stood up with their guns. Everyone was very nervous, but as professional soldiers, no one would shoot without orders. Swish! Exclamation mark. Su Anmin flashed over, his eyes focused on the bats in the air, and said, "What are these beasts doing? They haven't launched an attack yet." Are they just used to flying around over humans? Bats. Luo Ren frowned and thought, remembering the day when bats attacked Chiang City by air, and immediately thought that these bats must not like to fly around, so they made such a move. Suddenly, whoosh, the sound of breaking air in his ears quickly became louder, and he instinctively felt the danger, and he slapped back with his backhand. Bang, furry, plump, and then burst bright red. The splashing bat blood splashed on his face, body, and the faces and bodies of the people next to him. At the same time, the bats that were originally flying overhead locked onto their targets and swooped down rapidly. Someone was hit in a breath. After these bats rushed to the people, they opened their bloody mouths, revealing sharp fangs, bit directly at the carotid artery in the neck, and then gurgled and sucked blood. The strong smell of blood immediately spread. Without discussing with Suanmin, Luo Ren ordered urgently, machine gun fire, blockade, all evolvers take their positions, and kill the bats that break through the fire blockade. As soon as he finished speaking, gunshots rang out. At night, the bullet marks were like red straight lines. So many guns fired at the same time, and these red lines were used to weave a giant net to block the bats in the sky. Although this giant net looks dense, there are always bats that slip through the net. They break through the fire blockade and break into the crowd. They open their bloody mouths, reveal their horrified fangs, and pounce on the nearest soldiers, about to suck human blood like vampires in the movies. However, at this moment, dozens of figures in the team, swooped and flashed were extremely fast, and each of them reached the level of level 2 evolvers. The sabers in their hands flashed coldly in the moonlight and gunfire. The defense of these bats is not even as good as the lowest level 1 power zombies. Under the swing of the sabers, it is like cutting tofu with a knife, and they are directly cut in half. Luo Ren looked around alertly, and suddenly saw a humanoid creature standing on a tall building. His eyes narrowed slightly, and then he jumped up. Suanmin saw this, and also saw the humanoid creature on the tall building. Knowing that Luo Ren was powerful, he believed that Luo Ren could handle it, so he did not follow him, but continued to stay in the team. To command point, Luo Ren jumped onto the roof of the 5th floor, without any hesitation, and jumped up again, and ran straight to the tall building where the humanoid creature was. It was like a cannonball was fired, and the air was torn apart, making a sonic boom-like explosion. The humanoid creature on the tall building immediately noticed this movement. It made a harsh sound like it came from the netherworld, and then spread its arms. There was a pair of flesh wings connected to the side of the wrist. It jumped off the tall building, vibrated its wings, and swooped down directly, facing Luo Ren. Bat zombie. Luo Ren's mind moved, and a pair of flesh wings grew, which was the characteristic of bat zombies. A flash of coldness flashed in his eyes, and he suddenly drew out the silver kiss knife behind him. The blade reflected the moonlight, shining brightly, and the cold light was as cold as frost. Facing the swooping bat zombie, he swung the knife with his backhand, carrying a force of 10,000 pounds. The creature in front of him let out another sharp howl, just like the evil ghost from the 18th level of hell. It suddenly flapped its wings to stop the swooping momentum, and then flapped its wings again to fan out a whistling wind. The wind was blowing hard, and it was like a blade hitting Luo Ren's body. His body could withstand it completely, but his combat uniform was torn into several holes at the same time. The fierce wind energy offset part of his initial momentum, which made him slow down rapidly in midair without any leverage. At this moment, the creature on the opposite side flapped its wings again, flashed behind him, and then pounced on his back. Although there was no leverage in midair, he could still turn around. Holding the silver kiss long knife in hand, he turned around and swept through the army. The creature did not dare to take the long knife head on, and quickly flapped its wings to stop its body. At this moment, Luo Ren's momentum for rushing forward was exhausted, and the whole person fell down. Boom. Like a falling meteor, he fell on the top floor of a 5-story building, shaking the whole building. The concrete floor under him cracked and sunk into a deep pit of tens of centimeters. Fortunately, it was not a shoddy project, and there were steel bars and cement to hold it, so it did not directly break through the floor. He stood up quickly, locked his eyes on the bat zombie in the air, and murderous intent suddenly appeared in his eyes. Whoosh! Suddenly, a hidden weapon attacked, and he subconsciously reached out to intercept it. He grabbed a round object, took a look at it, and said in surprise, "Grenade?" Chapter 329, Corpse Hall, Part 1. Grenade? After Luo Ren exclaimed, he quickly realized that the safety pin of the grenade had been pulled out and had been fired, so he quickly threw the grenade away. He opened his palm, and the moment the grenade left his palm, a huge amount of flame suddenly burst out, followed by a huge explosion in his ears. Luo Ren closed his eyes and tilted his head, feeling the impact of the explosion and the flying shrapnel. With a sizzling sound, his clothes were cut by shrapnel, and the combat gloves on his right palm were directly torn into pieces. However, the grenade explosion seemed to be very powerful. In fact, it was indeed very powerful, but it was only relative to ordinary people. Luo Ren was not an ordinary person. These flying shrapnel hit his flesh, leaving no scratches on his skin, and the violent impact could not shake him at all. He shook his hot right palm and looked in the direction where the grenade was thrown. When he caught the grenade, his first thought was Sun Cakesun. After all, the hatred was already exposed. But judging from the direction, it didn't look like Sun Cakesun, because Sun Cakesun was still fighting zombies in the large army. Could it be that Sun Cakesun quickly adjusted the range after throwing the grenade? This was unlikely. Even if he only showed level 3 strength on the surface, he couldn't be hurt by a small grenade. It was really strange. What's going on? While muttering to himself, he turned his head to look at the bat zombie in the air, narrowing his eyes slightly, thinking, this beast seems to be a little different from the bat zombie that attacked Tong that day. The ears of the bat zombie that day were as sharp as the elves in western legends, and the 2 souls and 10 fingers had sharp nails up to 5 or 6 centimeters long, and there was a bone spur on the heel, but this zombie had no nails and bone spurs, except a pair of flesh wings, and its fighting skills are too superb. It can actually use its wings to fan out a hurricane. Is it really confused just a level 3 zombie? The more Luo Ren thought about it, the more he felt. Judging from the speed and strength of the creature on the opposite side, it is indeed only at the level of a level 3 zombie, but that superb fighting skills are not something that a level 3 zombie can possess. If it is because of the mutant zombies, that is not right. The 2 mutant zombies encountered at Sujiang Bridge were level 3, but their fighting skills were really crude and there was no method at all point, and this level 3 bat zombie is like a fighting master who knows how to use his own advantages to fight. Could it be that it is not a level 3 zombie, but a level 4 zombie? But the speed and strength it showed are clearly that of a level 3 zombie. Raw. While he was thinking, the bat zombie in the air suddenly let out a sharp howl and saw that the bad group fighting with the large army immediately climbed to a higher altitude, not to use any special moves, but to flap their wings and fly away from here in groups, disappearing into the darkness in a few seconds. The bat zombie also flapped its wings and flew away. After taking a deep look at Luo Ren, Luo Ren saw the bat zombie leave. His eyes turned, glanced at the team on the ground, and then put the silver kiss knife back into the scabbard behind him, and jumped back to the team many times. As soon as he came back, Suan Min rushed over and asked, "What kind of zombie is that?" Luo Ren said, "From the appearance, it looks like a mutant zombie with bad genes, but I don't think it looks like a zombie. Bad zombie, and not very zombie? What do you mean?" Suan Min obviously didn't understand what Luo Ren said, and asked immediately, "Just now I had a brief fight with this beast in midair. It showed extremely strong fighting skills. It actually knew how to use its wings to fan out a hurricane, and would look for a vulnerable position to attack. If I hadn't reacted quickly, I would have fallen into its trap point. The IQ of a level 3 zombie can't reach this level." There was nothing to hide about this matter, so Luo Ren said it directly. Suan Min was amazed after hearing this. He had never encountered such zombies before. He also saw that Luo Ren's speed suddenly slowed down when they fought in the air just now. He thought it was intentional, and was amazed that in the air, there was no place to borrow force or unload force. Luo Ren could actually slow down out of thin air. It was really a wonderful method. He never thought that it was caused by the hurricane fanned out by the bat zombie. After thinking for a long time, he speculated, since it doesn't look like a zombie, could it be an evolved animal or a mutant animal? Luo Ren clenched his fist with his right hand, pondered for a moment, and said, "Maybe." After The attack of the bad group last night, they were lucky that there were no more sneak attacks from zombies or evolved animals. They also had a good rest for a night, and recovered some physical strength and spirit point at this time. The clouds cleared and the warm sunshine fell on everyone. In this environment full of bat corpses, zombie corpses, and piles of bones, it was actually a bit comfortable. At the front of the team, Luo Ren looked ahead and remained silent. Su Anmin came from behind, shoulder to shoulder with him, also looking forward, sighed, and said, "The remaining 3 or 4 kilometers are extremely dangerous. How much ammunition do we have left?" Luo Ren suddenly asked. "Not much," Su Anmin said. "After coming all the way, the ammunition is less than 1/10. If there is another encounter, I'm afraid that we will run out of ammunition and food before the battle is over." He looked back at the team and said, "Our main combat power now is not guns, but the more than 200 evolvers." Luo Ren also looked back. Among the 200 evolvers, there are more than 30 level 2 evolvers, and this does not include the 8 people from the large military region, as well as him and Sun Cakesun, and the bottom ones are all intermediate level 1 evolvers. Such a team can definitely be called the main force, and it is a very powerful main force. It's just a pity for the thousands of ordinary soldiers. After the ammunition was exhausted, most of them became cannon fodder. Seeing them still talking and laughing there, Luo Ren couldn't help but shake his head slightly, feeling sorry. Su Anmin saw Luo Ren's actions and comforted him. This is a war. Sacrifice is inevitable. Luo Ren turned his head and looked over. After a moment of silence, he asked, "What is there in the center of the main city that is worth such a heavy price?" For him, 5,000 guards are nothing, because there are plenty of points, but it takes some production time. But for Su Anmin in the major military regions, thousands of professional soldiers, and all of them are soldiers with rich combat experience with zombies, are all buried here. Such a loss is huge even in the major military regions. However, Su Anmin's expression changed slightly when he heard the question. After hesitating for a long time, he said, "I can only tell you that the crisis we are facing is definitely not as simple as zombies and evolved animals, and the things in the center of the main city can give us more means to deal with this crisis, not just zombies and evolved animals." Luo Ren didn't understand this sentence. Aren't zombies and evolved animals the main dangers to humans right now? No matter how hard he thought about it, what else could be comparable to these two dangers? Su Anmin stopped at that point. Even when he saw Luo Ren's puzzled expression, he didn't say anything more. Instead, he gave an order and the whole army marched forward. Chapter 330, Corpse Palace, Part 2. The next 3 or 4 kilometers of the journey were indeed extremely dangerous. They were attacked by zombies 3 times in total. Almost every kilometer traveled, there were zombie attacks. Before, there were still a few thousand people in the team, but now there are less than 3,000 people left. Read without ammunition. All the ordinary soldiers hid in the chariots. Hundreds of evolvers held sabers, and were vigilant in all directions. As Su Anmin said, the main combat power now is these hundreds of evolvers. Stop, Su Anmin ordered to stop advancing. He pointed forward and said, "We are here." Looking in the direction Su Anmin pointed, Luo Ren's eyes narrowed slightly, and he looked through the gaps between tall buildings, and saw a corner of the building. This building uses building materials, all of which are black long strips. It looks like these long strips are randomly intertwined, making it very messy. Su Anmin said, "That is the corpse hall. Corpse palace." Luo Ren repeated in a low voice, and then asked, "What should we do next?" Su Anmin said, "We have killed a huge number of zombies along the way. Now that we have arrived here, there are no zombie attacks. From this, it can be concluded that the number of zombies in the main city is not large. Point according to my experience. What we need to be most careful about now are the evolved zombies in the corpse hall." Luo Ren said, "As you said, there is no need for any tactics. The 200 or so of us can just attack directly." Su Anmin said, "We have run out of ammunition and cannot carry out long-range fire coverage, and the mother corpse's defense is weak and cannot withstand it. So even if there is sufficient ammunition, we cannot carry out long-range fire coverage. Point what we have to do now is to lure out the evolved zombies in the corpse hall and kill them all. Then we can successfully capture the mother corpse alive. Point don't worry about the female corpse escaping. It's huge and its limbs are very weak, so it can't run, even if it wants to. Yes. Luo Ren heard this, nodded, took a step forward, and said, in that case, I will lead out the evolved zombies from the corpse hall, and you guys will wait here. Su and Min said, I'll go with you. Su and Min had dealt with the corpse hall before, and had a lot of experience. He would be happy to go with Luo Ren. After giving the order to wait in place, the two people immediately jumped out, and jumped straight to the top of the tall building to increase their field of vision. Swish. Two sounds broke through the air, and Luo Ren and Su and Min landed on the roof of the building. With light steps, they hurried to the edge of the fence, stuck their heads out, and looked down. Only from below could they see the whole corpse hall. The whole thing is made of long black objects that are neither gold nor wood. It feels chaotic when you look at just a corner, but when you see the whole thing, you feel it has its own rules. No matter the angle or the gap between each building material, it is just right. Although there is no symmetrical beauty, there is a kind of chaotic beauty. Its overall shape is like a reverse bird's nest, covering an area of about 300 to 400 square meters, which is not very large. After searching for a while, Su and Min said, I found it. The entrance is there. Luo Ren followed his gaze and saw a semicircular entrance with two zombies standing at the door. The bodies of these two zombies have the same flesh and blood as ordinary humans, but their skin color is different. It is lavender. They also have facial features like humans, except that their foreheads are narrower and they have no eyebrows. Their eyes are smaller, with only light red pupils visible. Their lips are thin, and their ears are larger. The upper body and chest are the same as those of humans. The fingers on the left and right hands are slender, and have nails 2 to 3 centimeters long. The feet are also the same as humans. Luo Ren found it strange that this was really different. It was not like ordinary zombies, which were pale and skinny, nor like evolved zombies, which were either huge or small, nor like mutant zombies, which had obvious animal characteristics. Su and Min saw Luo Ren's expression and immediately explained, this is a new type of zombie bred from the mother's corpse. Luo Ren joked, if it stays like this in the future, the zombies will probably have to change their names. Su and Min said, our military region has done research. Strictly speaking, any level 2 zombie or above is no longer a zombie, but a life of flesh and blood, and should be a new species. Therefore, many old experts believe that, as long as it reaches level 2, it cannot be called a zombie, but should be named after a certain ethnic group. Yes. Luo Ren agreed, and then added, they are indeed a new ethnic group born out of humans, and they also want to replace humans' dominance on this planet. However, I believe that the final winner will definitely be us. Humanity. Zombies will never defeat us, but we are not the only ones facing zombies. Su and Min said the first half of the sentence very confidently, but in the second half of the sentence, worry flashed in his eyes. Luo Ren was confused and asked, what else is there? Su and Min was silent for a long time, composed himself, and said, we will discuss this later. We'd better take down the corpse hall first. After that, he jumped directly off the tall building, grabbing the ivy climbing on the wall on the way, which had the effect of slowing down his fall. Boom. Although the speed has slowed down a lot, the sound of landing still alerted the zombies guarding him, and the zombies pulled away and came to kill him. Their speed has reached the level of level 1 zombies. For Su and Min, this was nothing but child's play. He killed 2 janitor zombies in just 2 moves. Then he strode straight towards the corpse hall gate. Seeing this, Luo Ren immediately jumped off the top floor and followed closely. The two walked quickly to the door of the corpse hall and looked inside. There was no light inside, and the light from the outside only shone into the door for 5 or 6 steps. After that, it was black pitch and nothing could be seen clearly. Whoosh. Suddenly, like an arrow from a bow, it pierced the air and shot towards them. The two stepped on the ground, jumped sideways, and easily avoided the attacking hidden weapon. Ding ding ding. 2 crisp sounds attracted attention, and 2 iron nails hidden weapons, 1 finger long, with pointed heads and thick tails, shot into the concrete wall. Swish. And the moment they looked at the iron nails, the sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded beside their ears. Luo Ren slightly turned sideways, and a sharp claw passed by his eyes. Without any hesitation, he clenched his left hand into a fist, and then suddenly hit it. After the claws, there were arms, and then the head. Before the sneak zombie could react, Luo Ren's fist had already hit its temple, and with a puff, it was like a child stealing a watermelon on a hot summer day, but without a knife. He could only punch and chop. A strong person only needed one punch to smash the watermelon, and the head of the sneak zombie was like a watermelon under the child's fist, exploding with a bang, and red and white things splashed. Luo Ren retreated quickly, trying to avoid getting some red and white things on his body. After all, this thing was quite disgusting. Suan Min kicked the ground and retreated quickly, avoiding the sneak attack. He looked closely and saw that the attacker looked almost the same as the gatekeeper zombie he had just killed, except that there was an inverted bone spur on each shoulder. Without much nonsense or hesitation, he rushed out directly, bursting out with the speed of a level 3 peak evolver. He put his 5 fingers together to form a palm, but he did not strike with the palm surface, nor did he chop with the edge of the palm, but stabbed straight out with the fingertips. At such a speed, the zombie had no room to react at all, and the palm knife pierced through the head, killing it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331 Timely Action, Part 1. The palm knife pierced through the zombie's head, and red and white things splashed all over the ground. Suan Min's arm was also stained with a lot of red and white things. When he pulled his hand out, another wave of red and white things splashed onto his clothes on the other side. Luo Ren looked down and saw the evolution crystal lying quietly on the ground. It fell out of the head of the zombie he had just killed. He quickly stepped forward to pick it up and saw that it was a level 2 evolution crystal from the color, which means that the 2 zombies they killed were both level 2. Swish swish swish. Just at this moment, there was a continuous sound of breaking wind. Luo Ren and Suan Min looked at the door of the corpse hall at the same time and saw a series of figures rushing out from it continuously, all with purple red skin and long and sharp nails. Seeing this situation, the 2 of them knew that the zombies in the corpse hall had already come out in full force. The 2 looked at each other, nodded, and then jumped out in the opposite direction, not to kill the enemy, but to go to where the large army was. As the saying goes, 2 fists cannot beat 4 hands. Even for a level 3 evolver, his strength is not infinite. Therefore, there is strength in numbers. Since the enemy is a group, we cannot fight against a group alone. It is better to fight in groups. 2 humans are in front, and a group of zombies are chasing them. Running along the street, or 3-way intersection appeared in front. Luo Ren and Suan Min turned left without hesitation, and the zombies behind them also turned left. Turning the intersection, they stepped onto the wide 6-lane avenue. Although there are many abandoned vehicles on the road, it does not affect the width of the road. At that time, many tanks and armored vehicles can be seen in front of the eyes, but no strangers are seen. Luo Ren and Suan Min looked at each other and nodded at the same time. They suddenly stopped in front of the tank and turned to face the zombies chasing behind them. At this sight, both of them were a little surprised. I really didn't expect that there were so many zombies hidden in the corpse hall. I saw 5 heads with an inverted bone spur on each shoulder and a pair of sheep-like horns on their heads. The 10 fingers are 5 times longer than other zombies, and they are skin and bones, seemingly without flesh and blood, just like insects, with bones growing outside. The tips of the 10 slender fingers are also 3 to 5 centimeters long. Unlike the flat shape of other zombies' nails, the fingertips of these 5 zombies are oblate, thicker, and closed to cone, which are more suitable for stabbing. And judging from the speed of these 5 zombies, they have reached the level 3 level, which shows that they are level 3 zombies. After that, there are 20 to 30 level 2 zombies with an inverted bone spur on each shoulder, which the 2 of them killed in front of the corpse hall. Behind them are nearly 100 level 1 zombies guarding the gate just now. The roars and roars are endless, and they are like hell devils. If ordinary people face such a scene, let alone resistance, it would be good if they can keep their legs intact. However, Luo Ren and Suan Min are not ordinary people. Do it. Min suddenly shouted point. As soon as the words fell, it was as if someone pulled the trigger, and Min was the cannonball in the chamber that fired instantly. Rushing towards the zombies with a swift and fierce momentum point, Luo Ren reached back and pulled out the silver kiss long knife and kicked the ground with his feet. His swiftness was no less than Min point. At the same time, there was a sound of breaking wind around, and many humans flew out from the dense branches and leaves on the roadside greening, and the green leaves, that had not yet turned yellow, and fallen fluttered in the wind, and these many humans wearing guards' combat uniforms, and holding sabers rushed into the zombies from the side. They were all fearless, and no one was timid. They just aimed at the zombies, raised their knives and fell, and killed them with one blow, and then looked for the next target. If the first blow failed, they would continue to chop and kill. The melee was triggered immediately. The roar of the evolved zombies was not incompetent and furious. Whether it was Luo Ren, Min, or the soldiers present, they all knew that its primary function was to convey information. As expected, under this continuous roar, many zombies came to help from all directions. Although these zombies were skin and bones, and looked like living dead, they were completely different from these purple red skin zombies with flowing blood and fresh life point. However, this did not prevent them from considering these zombies as their leaders. These zombies that came to help wiped out the numerical advantage of Luo Ren and Min point. The 5 level 3 zombies attacked fiercely. And they were not ordinary level 3 zombies. 2 of them had reached the level of peak level 3, 1 was level 3 medium, and the last 2 were level 3 low point. Min was righteous, and he actually dealt with a level 3 peak and a level 3 medium alone. Luo Ren was entangled by a level 3 peak, and the remaining 2 were level 3 low. 1 was blocked by Huning, and the other was targeting Sun Cakesuan point buff. Sun Cakesuan raised his knife and slashed it. A cold light flashed, and this knife directly split the head of the level 2 zombie, and the tender green evolution crystal fell. He hurriedly caught it. Just as he was about to collect the evolution crystal with joy, he suddenly felt a chill on his back, and a great sense of crisis surged into his heart point. He looked up, and saw a figure rushing towards him, very fast, faster than him. He had no time to think, and his instinctive reaction made him kick the ground and retreat quickly to dodge point. But the opponent was a level 3 zombie after all, and its speed was much faster than his. The figure of the zombie in his pupils quickly enlarged, and the sharp claw was like a hook for his life, making him feel boundless uneasiness and a heavy breath of death point. The fear in his heart was like being wrapped in a balloon. At this moment, it was pierced by a needle, and the fear suddenly broke out, filling his entire heart in an instant. He didn't want to die, but the speed of the claws approaching, he didn't slow down at all. The breath of death was already whistling on his face. Fear and despair completely enveloped him. Swish. Suddenly, there was a sound of breaking wind. A cold light flashed in front of his eyes. A silver black longsword with the momentum of splitting Huashan Mountain fell from the sky and chopped directly on the claws of the life-seeking. There were 2 sounds of puff and crack at the same time. Dark red blood splashed, and the claws of the life-seeking were broken. The sword stopped the downward momentum, swung the blade horizontally, and swept out with the momentum. With its own strength and speed, plus the inertia of the zombies rushing forward, the blade chopped the zombie's neck in the blink of an eye. There was another puff sound, and the long sword sank more than half of the zombie's neck. Then with a crack, the long sword chopped the cervical vertebra. Bang! The shadow of the leg appeared, kicked the zombie in the abdomen, and spit out a huge force, directly kicking the zombie more than 10 meters away, and hitting the roadside green tree, causing the tree to shake continuously, and leaves to fall. This operation was done in a breath. At this time, Sun Cakesuan saw clearly that the person who made the move was Luo Ren. His face was full of disbelief, and at the same time, his eyes were filled with relief for surviving the disaster. Chapter 332 Timely Action, Part 2. Sun Cakesuan was about to be polite and express his gratitude when he suddenly saw the corner of Luo Ren's mouth raised slightly, and then heard a puff, which was not caused by the knife slashing the zombies. He looked down at himself on his chest. Only a blood-stained sharp claw could be seen. The joy in his eyes had not disappeared. A finger with sharp nails was pierced between his eyebrows, and bright red blood flowed down his face. Sun Cakesuan's expression was frozen here. The joy in his eyes was still there, but the vitality was gone. Luo Ren was kind to let him die in hope. Search TWKAN on Google. Luo Ren was able to fight with level 3 peak zombies with ease. When he saw Sun Cakesun being targeted by the level 3 zombies that no one was holding back, he secretly rejoiced that the opportunity had come. In order to be more natural, the next scene happened. The level 3 low level zombie was stabbed twice by Luo Ren and knocked back with one kick, while Sun Cakesun was killed by the level 3 peak zombie that pierced his chest and head. When Su and Min saw the situation here and Sun Cakesun's death, he sighed and continued to fight the enemy without any other reaction. Seeing this, other people on the field also sighed slightly, saying that this was what Sun Cakesun was destined to be. Even if Luo Ren came to save him, he would not be able to survive. While they felt sorry for Sun Cakesun, some people lamented Luo Ren's righteousness. Sun Cakesun was so against him, but he was able to help regardless of past grudges, which is worthy of admiration. Luo Ren had to do all the tricks in a show. Luo Ren immediately closed the corners of his mouth, with a look of anger and shock on his face, and slashed at the zombies on the opposite side with his knife. This knife was so powerful that the compressed air crackled. The zombie was smart enough to squat down and hide behind Sun Cakesun's body. Luo Ren forcibly stopped the powerful silver-kissed knife, which was less than half an inch above Sun Cakesun's body. The level 3 peak zombie suddenly took action, emerged from the crotch of Sun Cakesun's corpse, and grabbed Luo Ren's legs with two sharp claws. Luo Ren stood up and jumped to avoid the sneak attack. He held the knife in both hands and turned around, with his head down and his feet in the air. The silver-kissed knife fell rapidly like a meteor and stabbed directly into the zombie's back. The level 3 peak zombie stabbed the ground with both claws and pushed his body forward to avoid the sword technique falling from the sky. The silver-kissed long knife stabbed to the ground, causing sparks to fly and gravel to fly. Luo Ren somersaulted to the ground, his eyes locked on the level 3 peak zombie already 3 feet away. His eyes flashed, and he hesitated in his heart. I can't kill it in a short time, just by using the current speed and strength. Do I want to expose it? Real strength. When he was hesitating, he saw behind the level 3 peak zombie, under the green tree on the roadside, the zombie whose arm he had cut off and whose throat had been slashed stood up. Dark red blood was gurgling like spring water. The zombie's head was tilted back like a neck bone. Something went wrong. Kill one end first. With this in mind, Luo Ren stepped out without stopping and swung his long knife towards the level 3 peak zombie. The zombie knew that the long knife was powerful and could only avoid its sharp edge. It dodged away, but Luo Ren did not continue to attack it, but ran straight forward, his speed increasing instead of decreasing. Only then did it realize that this human was actually trying to kill the seriously injured fellow creature behind it. It couldn't help roaring angrily and chased away, hoping to save its fellow creature between life and death. However, Luo Ren's speed was no worse than it, and the distance was not far away. He arrived in front of the seriously injured zombie in just one thought. Without any delay, he held the knife in both hands and swept away thousands of troops with one move. The whistling silver-kissed long knife slashed directly at the neck of the seriously injured zombie. With a punch sound, the blade sank into the flesh and blood. There was another crack sound, followed by another punch kai sound, and the blade broke through the flesh and blood spread across the ground. At the same time, the level 3 peak zombies had arrived in pursuit. Luo Ren followed the sweeping sword force and turned around to slash back. The speed of the sword was faster, and he secretly added a little more force. The long sword broke through the air, causing the air to flow forward. The blade runs on both sides, looking like a martial arts TV show, with a layer of internal energy smoke covering the blade. Faced with this menacing knife, the level 3 peak zombie was frightened and quickly stopped moving forward, leaning back to avoid the long knife. Crack. It avoided the vital point, but the bone spur on its shoulder was hit by this knife. There was no obstacle, and the bone spur was cut off directly. What fell to the ground at the same time as the broken bone spurs was the head of a severely injured zombie. Su and Min saw this scene and was extremely surprised. A level 3 zombie died, and they were much less stressed. Seeing this, the others became even more motivated to fight. This was a great boost to their morale. Cutting off the bone spurs was not enough. Luo Ren followed the trend of the knife and rotated his body 360 degrees. He was facing the level 3 peak zombie. He took half a step back with his left foot and slashed down with the knife with his right hand. This rotation increased the speed and strength. The level 3 peak zombie realized that this knife was extremely dangerous. If it was hit, it would have to be disemboweled. It leaned back and fell to the ground. At the same time, it pressed its two claws on the ground and pushed itself back with just one force point. But this knife was not a stabbing attack from the sky. The force of the knife was even faster and fiercer. Although it tried its best to dodge and avoid the vital point, the knife still hit the sole of his foot and chopped off the sole of his foot without mercy. The level 3 peak zombie turned over and staggered when its feet landed on the ground, almost falling. The pain of half of its feet being chopped off stimulated its nerves, causing its light red pupils to turn into scarlet, and its whole body exuded an aura of violence. Roaring, and stimulated by extreme anger, the pain was quickly suppressed, and it pulled away and attacked Luo Ren. Luo Ren smiled coldly. Anger can be a fuel to boost combat effectiveness, or an electromagnetic signal that disrupts combat thinking. He took a step forward and disappeared on the spot, dragging his knife to face it. Seeing the claws dancing wildly, he dodged left and right, attacking from the front and blocking from the back. The claws grabbed nothing, and the whistling sound was like a ghost's howl. The silver kiss knife blocked, and the crisp sound was like a bell. At this time, the level 3 peak zombie only knew how to attack, not how to defend. It was like the 9 swords of Dugu in the Smiling Proud Wanderer, which was attack oriented and used speed to beat slow. However, this move was obviously not effective against Luo Ren, because Luo Ren's speed was not slower than it. The ghost-like claws pierced his face. Luo Ren moved his feet, and his upper body slightly tilted. The claws whistled past his eyes and pierced the big tree behind him, and his entire palm sank into the trunk. The attack failed, and the zombie stabbed again with his left claw. Luo Ren tapped his toes lightly and swept his body back. This attack missed again and pierced into the trunk as well. Level 3 masters fight, and the outcome, life and death, can be decided in milliseconds. Taking advantage of the moment when the level 3 peak zombie pulled back, Luo Ren moved his feet and dodged behind it. His eyes suddenly focused, and the silver kiss long knife whistled out immediately. This knife was the knife method he practiced thousands of times every day in Xianwu Mountain, which emphasized speed, accuracy, and ruthlessness. As soon as the level 3 peak zombie reacted, the silver kiss knife had already chopped its neck. Chapter 333. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the aureole behind. Puff, the knife flashed past, and a blood mark appeared on the back of the zombie's neck. The blood mark quickly became clear and expanded, and then blood gushed out, dyeing the back of the zombie in front of him dark red. The level 3 peak zombie felt pain, turned around with all his strength, and waved his claws to grab. Luo Ren turned his knife to resist the claws. Clang clang, sparks flew, and the crisp sound was piercing. He raised his foot and kicked the zombie's chest, breaking the angry zombie's sternum, shaking his internal organs, and hitting the base and thick tree trunk behind him. The sound of crackling continued, and cracks suddenly appeared on the hid tree trunk and quickly expanded. In just a breath, the tree broke with a bang, and the huge tree body boomed to the ground, stirring up dust all over the sky. During this period, Luo Ren did not stand there stupidly, waiting for the level 3 peak zombie to get up and fight again. He should take advantage of the victory and pursue it. He half crouched down, exerted force on his thighs, jumped up, and chopped down with both hands holding the silver kiss knife. The level 3 peak zombie was lying on the ground. Seeing the strong man descending from the sky with a magic weapon, it had calmed down at this time. It couldn't help but be very frightened and wanted to dodge, but its seriously injured body couldn't dodge this swift attack. It had to cross its hands to block the knife. The silver black long knife reflected the sunlight, flashing with cold light, emitting amazing cold air, and chopped down with force, still with the momentum of Erlang's engine Yang Jian in the myth and legend. Chopping Huishan with force. Su Anmen was punching the zombie in front of him, and felt the chill over there, and couldn't help but cast a look, only to see the momentum of the rainbow, chopping the zombie with a knife. There was a sound of puff, followed by a crisp clang, and finally a dull dang. The zombie under the knife had his arms broken, and the silver black long knife pressed down on his arms and hit his chest heavily, so there was a dull sound. The zombie opened his mouth and spurted out a mouthful of dark red blood, in which flesh pieces could be seen faintly. I guess all his internal organs were smashed by this knife. Luo Ren raised the long knife again, this time heading for the neck of the peak level 3 zombie. The zombie had been completely seriously injured by the previous knife and lost its combat effectiveness. Facing this knife, it wanted to block it, but it was powerless and could only watch the long knife fall. In a flash, the silver-kissed long knife was unstoppable and directly cut off the neck of the zombie in front of him. His body stopped moving on the spot, and only his head was still opening its mouth and staring. Without waiting for a break, Luo Ren chopped the head with a knife again. With a crack, he split the head and completely killed this level 3 peak zombie, picking up to level 3 evolution crystals. He set his sights on the level 3 medium zombie that Suan Min was dealing with. He immediately took a step forward and was 3 inches behind Suan Min in the blink of an eye. He took another step and chopped the level 3 medium zombie with a long knife. The level 3 medium zombie felt Luo Ren's horror of killing and couldn't help but feel fear in his heart. It also saw that its stronger fellows died on this knife, so it naturally didn't dare to take the knife head on. Its body retreated backwards, and Luo Ren followed closely. With one less level 3 medium zombie, Suan Min was immediately much more relaxed. He only needed to concentrate on dealing with this level 3 peak zombie. He quickly climbed from a disadvantageous position, where he could only passively defend to a level with a back and forth. Level 3 medium is obviously not as good as level 3 peak. Whether it is speed or strength, Luo Ren directly took the absolute upper hand. As soon as they fought. After 3 or 4 rounds, the level 3 medium zombie had several more cuts on its body. Another 5 or 6 rounds passed, and Luo Ren swiftly chopped the left rib of the level 3 medium zombie with a knife, and the blade was directly immersed in it. When he pulled out the knife, the zombie was already seriously injured. Taking this opportunity, Luo Ren then chopped the zombie's head with a knife. With a clang sound, it was like striking a hangul bell, and the vibration sound waves were visible to the naked eye. The zombie's head was directly smashed by this knife, and the brain mixed with blood flowed all over the ground. Luo Ren breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Suan Min and Hu Ning's battle, only to see that they gradually gained the upper hand. Looking at the other fighters, although there were a large number of ordinary zombies to support them, 3 level 3 zombies were killed in a row, causing the morale of those zombies that could be called life to be low. They had the upper hand, but now they were at a disadvantage. Some zombies even escaped. In this situation, there was no need to speculate, and we knew that the victory was decided. Luo Ren flashed to the side of the tank, leaned against the tank, breathed a sigh of relief, and sighed. Finally, I can rest for a while. Time passed quietly. About 20 minutes later, Suan Min punched the zombie's head in front of him and smashed it. Then he supported Hu Ning. It was just a low-level level 3 zombie. With his help, it took only a few hits to solve it. At the same time, the remaining zombies died or escaped, leaving only many ordinary zombies who didn't know how to advance or retreat, and didn't know whether to live or die. No, they were already dead, so how could they know whether to live or die? After a lot of effort, the remaining ordinary zombies were solved, and the battle finally came to an end. Suan Min walked quickly to Luo Ren and said, "Thank you for this battle, Commander Luo. If it weren't for you, it's hard to say whether we can win." Luo Ren waved his hand and said, "Let's not rush to say polite words. Let's go to the corpse hall first. I really want to see what this female corpse looks like with my own eyes." "Okay." Suan Min nodded and responded, and then gave an order. More than 2,000 ordinary soldiers stayed where they were, and the remaining dozens of people who were alive headed towards the corpse hall. The distance was not far, and it took only a while to reach the corpse hall. Everyone looked at the corpse hall with vigilance in their eyes. Looking at the darkness inside, Luo Ren frowned slightly. A level 2 Zaya soldier stood up and said, "I'd like to go in and check first." Suan Min looked at the man and asked, "What's your name?" "Report. My name is Gao Jun, from Takao City, Lianjiang Province." The Zaya soldier replied. Suan Min nodded and said, "Okay, Gao Jun, go ahead." Gao Jun walked towards the door of the corpse hall. Luo Ren watched his every step, and when he walked to the door, Luo Ren suddenly shouted, "Danger!" Swish, swish, swish. Several cold rays shot out from the corpse hall, and almost at the same time as Luo Ren's voice fell, they shot through Gao Jun's chest and eyebrows. Gao Jun's body suddenly stiffened and fell on his back. Everyone was stunned, and then they reacted. How could they not be angry when their comrades died in front of them? The people outside were about to rush into the corpse hall and cut the people who put hidden weapons inside into pieces. "Stop!" Su Anmin shouted urgently. At the moment, they were in the open, and the enemy was in the dark. If they rushed forward out of anger, they would be caught in the trap. He looked at Luo Ren and asked, "Captain Luo, what do you think we should do?" Luo Ren looked around and said in a deep voice, "There is only one way, fight." Su Anmin looked puzzled, not knowing what Luo Ren meant. Luo Ren looked at him, his eyes solemn, and said, "The mantis stalks the cicada, the oriole is behind." His eyes moved away from Su Anmin's face, fixed on the corpse hall, and whispered, "Someone mistook us for the mantis." Chapter 334 Ying's How people. Hearing this, Su Anmin was shocked. He looked around quickly, but no one was there. However, he felt vaguely uneasy, because there were so many tall buildings all around that it was too easy to hide. He was about to ask Luo Ren again, but suddenly I heard the weird laughter of Hehehe. The laughter came from the corpse hall. He saw Luo Ren staring closely at the corpse hall and couldn't help but look past the gate of the corpse hall and saw the darkness inside. Everyone else present was shocked when they heard the weird laughter, so they stared at the corpse hall more vigilantly and held the saber in their hands tighter. Luo Ren stared at the entrance of the corpse hall, adjusting his breathing to a wartime frequency. At this moment, his hand had already grasped the handle of the silver kiss knife. The weird laughter stopped abruptly, followed by the sound of footsteps coming from the corpse hall, and it became clearer. Under the gaze of everyone, a person stepped out of the darkness and was exposed to the light. Luo Ren frowned slightly. The person who came out of the corpse hall did not look like a zombie, but a human being. This person was dressed in black and had a ponytail. His face was tall and wide, making his face appear larger and flatter. There is a knife hanging on his waist. Although it is not unsheathed, it can be seen from the appearance that the blade of the knife is slender and has a certain arc. It should be agile and light. Looking at this man's face with a fierce look and murderous intent in his eyes, it gives people the feeling of facing an evil wolf. It is definitely an evil person. Luo Ren glanced at Su Anmin and saw an angry look on his face when he saw this person. Luo Ren couldn't help asking, "What's wrong? Do you know this person?" Su Anmin was about to answer, but the person opposite spoke first and said, "Su Anmin, hello, the youngest deputy commander of the Jiangnan military region. I'm the 2nd Army of the Yingzhou National Army, the commander of the army, Marutani Taishi. I came here this time, just for the divine technology and the god's nest. If you retreat now, I will spare your life." This man's accent was very weird. After hearing this, Luo Ren knew that this man was not a Zaya national. In fact, by revealing his name and identity, Luo Ren had already shown that he was not a Zaya national. Luo Ren asked, "What's going on? He seems to know you." In ancient times, the Zaya kingdom was a celestial kingdom, and all the surrounding countries were vassals, including the Yingzhou kingdom. They learned from our Zaya kingdom's etiquette, culture, and systems. After all, we are not only the suzerain state, but also their teachers. Su Anmin's eyes suddenly condensed, flashing with hatred, and he said in a deep voice, "But they have learned so many things from us, but they have not learned the true meaning, creating a national culture that knows small etiquette, but no great meaning. And they are still white-eyed wolves. 100 years ago, our Zaya kingdom was weak, so they took advantage of it and tried to capture our land. Little did they know that Zaya kingdom had thousands of years of civilization, and if other countries could get involved, they naturally beat them back. In the current global catastrophe, I don't know why Yingzhou state's military strength has been preserved intact, and they also took this opportunity to send troops and set up a military stronghold in Yunlang City, an important coastal city in our country. Although I don't know what their intentions are, I guess they must be. I want to take this opportunity to get involved in the land of China. Yingzhou country. This experience is really like a certain country. Luo Ren thought to himself. Ha ha ha. Mirutani Daishi suddenly laughed, speaking in an awkward Zaya dialect, and said, "Why do you want to get involved? We, Yingzhou, have inherited the orthodoxy of Zaya civilization. Although you live in this land, but you have lost 90% of your traditional civilization. Therefore, we Yingzhou people should bring the orthodox Zaya civilization back to this sacred land, and let those of you who have lost civilization re-understand Zaya civilization, and learn Zaya civilization again. This, how can it be said to be an affair? You." Suanmin's face was filled with anger, and he pointed at Mirutani Daishi from afar, making him gnash his teeth with hatred. "Oh." Luo Ren suddenly sneered and said, "Is your little Yingzhou kingdom worthy of being called orthodox? Our Zaya kingdom's civilization is splendid in ancient and modern times, shining in the world, but you just learned some superficial knowledge, blended in some savage culture, and made it nondescript. Is it also worthy of being called orthodox? Civilization is created by humans, and we are the masters of this Chinese state. We inherit the ideas of our ancestors, and at the same time create the future. We discard the dross, we retain the essence, and create a more brilliant civilization. On this basis we are Zaya people, and the culture we create belongs to the orthodoxy of Zaya civilization. How did we lose the orthodoxy? When the owner throws away things that he thinks are not good, you people eagerly pick them up and call them orthodox. How unbecoming is that? Don't make excuses for your wolfish ambitions and want to get involved in our Zaya kingdom. It's clear that we will definitely let you, no matter how hard you come back." That's right. This passage really aroused Suanmin's inner emotions. He pointed at Mirutani Daishi and shouted, "I will make sure you never come back." After hearing this, the rest of the Zaya soldiers clapped their hands in praise and shouted at Mirutani Daishi, "I will make sure you never come back." Mirutani Daishi stared at Luo Ren with his evil wolf eyes and said, "Who are you? You ask. Do I have to answer you?" Luo Ren sneered. "I won't kill unknown people. Please tell me your name quickly." Mirutani Daishi's right palm has been placed on the handle of the long knife at his waist, and his eyes are staring at Luo Ren like a vicious wolf locking its prey. "But we still don't know who is the prey and who is the hunter," Luo Ren said contemptuously. "Oh. You want to kill me? You said there is no return, so naturally I want you to have no return. No, all of you will have no return." After Mirutani Daishi finished speaking, he suddenly whistled, and the sharp and harsh whistle suddenly resounded throughout the world. The whistle was about to sound, and Luo Ren, Suanmin and others heard footsteps and wind-breaking sounds from all directions. Then, they saw Yingzhou people in black clothes and black pants appearing on the roofs of the surrounding high-rise buildings. At the same time, there was a sound of wind-breaking sounds falling from the sky. A creature with long wings came flying over and landed beside Mirutani Daishi. Behind it, there was a group of bats, which also landed on the top of the corpse hall. Luo Ren looked closely and was a little surprised. He whispered, "The bat creature we encountered last night was it?" Suanmin was also surprised when he heard it. He didn't know whether the person on the other side was a zombie or a human. Swish. There was another sound of breaking air, and a grey creature jumped down from a high-rise building and hit the ground, and dust flew up immediately. A humanoid creature with long tentacles walked out of the dust. This creature was exactly the creature that Luo Ren saw flying through the high-rise buildings during the day yesterday. Mirutani Daishi pointed at Luo Ren with a haughty expression and said, "You just said that the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the aureole behind. Originally it was wrong, because I didn't intend to waste troops to kill you, but now it is correct. We are the aureole and you are the mantis, so we want to eat you, which means to kill you. Ha." Luo Ren sneered. "The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the aureole behind. How can you be so sure that we are the mantis, not the eagle, that kills the aureole?" Chapter 335 Who is the mantis, and who is the aureole? Mirutani Dashi laughed loudly upon hearing this, and said confidently, although your number is not much different from ours, and the number and quality of awakened people are not much different, but you just fought with the monsters, and consumed a lot of energy, while we lurked and followed you, waiting for an opportunity to move, and consumed very little physical energy, so you are definitely not our opponent. Read so, you are all mantises, and you will all be eaten by our Yingzhou warriors in a while. Kill. Hahaha. Su. And Min's face changed slightly. Mirutani Dashi was right. They had just fought hard and consumed a lot of physical energy. If they fought with these energetic and strong Yingzhou people again, they would definitely suffer. He glanced at the soldiers behind him, moved closer to Luo Ren, and whispered, Commander Luo, the situation is not good now. We will definitely not get any benefit if we fight with them. Judging from what Mirutani Dashi said, he does not intend to let us leave safely. So, I will lead everyone to intercept these Yingzhou people later, and you take the opportunity to escape. Remember, you must return to Chiang City as quickly as possible. Find Liu Yannian to contact the military region, and report everything here without missing a word. The military region will definitely avenge us when they know about this. Also, take good care of me, sister. Luo Ren asked, are you going to give up the things in the corpse hall? Give it up. Suan Min snorted coldly, covered his chest with his right hand, and said in a deep voice, what we can't get will never be cheap to Yingzhou country. I will perish with the corpse hall and these Yingzhou people. Luo Ren lowered his eyes to see Suan Min's right hand, then retracted his gaze, grinned, and said, don't worry, I said, the mantis stalks the cicada, and the oriole is behind. We are not mantises, nor orioles, but the majestic flying in the sky eagle. I will make sure these Yingzhou people never come back. Suan Min was stunned for a moment, and said anxiously, listen to me, Yingzhou country can send this Mirutani Dashi here. He must be a tough guy, and the bat creature next to him, you fought with it last night, you know its strength better than me. As for the grey man, although we haven't fought, I think he is also a powerful character. And we just fought too much, we can't be their opponents, so I will try my best to delay them. You must take the opportunity to escape, and return to Chiang City. Mirutani Dashi suddenly asked, you Zhao people are always long-winded, what are the two whispering about? Luo Ren sneered and said, it's none of your business, you. Too rude. Mirutani Dashi shouted angrily, and then Clang drew out the long sword from his waist, pointed the tip of the sword at Luo Ren, Suan Min and others, and shouted, kill them for me. The Yingzhou warriors on the high building drew out their long swords, then jumped down, and rushed towards Luo Ren, Suan Min, as well as the Xia soldiers and guards. Remember, find a chance to escape. Suan Min whispered in his ear, then raised his fist and shouted, brothers, let's fight these bandits. Kill. He shouted, stepped out, and the whole person disappeared on the spot, rushing towards Mirutani Dashi. His sandbag-sized fist crushed the air, and blasted out with a force of 10,000 pounds. Just as Mirutani Dashi was about to respond, the grey creature beside him stepped forward, blocked Mirutani Dashi, and swung its grey fist to attack directly. Its punching speed was not fast, it could only be considered as the elementary level of level 3. Bang. The two fists collided with a loud bang. Although the opponent's speed was not fast, the power was not small. Suan Min felt the power coming from the grey creature's fist, and the second power burst out, The grey creature snorted from its nose, deng 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 retreated, and each step was heavier than 1,000 pounds, and the ground was cracked. Mirutani Dashi took a step forward, and held the grey creature with one hand, which stopped its retreat. He looked at Suan Min and said, as expected of the youngest deputy commander of the Jiangnan military region of Xia state, even after a fierce battle and a lot of physical exhaustion, he can still suppress the ant warrior in terms of strength. It's really amazing. He snapped his fingers and then ordered, Bat warrior, this deputy commander Su of the Jiangnan military region of Xia state, is not easy to deal with. You and the ant warrior go together. The bat warrior on the side nodded, walked forward and stood side by side with the ant warrior, looking directly at Suan Min, and said in an even more awkward accent, Deputy Commander Su, please take action. Suanmin sneered. Merutani Daishi, you only let these two monsters deal with me. Aren't you afraid that they will be smashed in the head by my punches? How dare you? We are noble gene warriors, not monsters. The bat warrior shouted. Down below, don't waste time talking to him. Let's do it. After the warrior said that, he rushed directly to Suanmin. The bat warrior immediately flapped its wings and took off, hovering over Suanmin's head, intending to attack from the air. Suanmin clenched his fists, facing the punch from the ant warrior, and suddenly dodged, went around the ant warrior's back, and then punched at the back of the neck. But at this moment, a whistling sound invaded his ears, and it was the bat warrior swooping down, and the speed had reached the peak level of level 3. What a good way to save Zao from Wei. He could only give up this punch and dodge the attack of the bat zombie. The bat warrior failed to hit and quickly took off, and the ant warrior rushed up at this time and punched. Suanmin faced this punch and directly hit it. When the fists collided, he did not use much strength, but instead used the power of the ant warrior to sweep back and pull away. However, before he could stop, the bat warrior flew over again, flapping his wings, fanning out a hurricane, bringing up dust on the ground, and rushing towards him, briefly blinding his vision. The ant warrior took this opportunity to rush over. At the same time, a figure flashed out from the melee between the Zao warriors, the guards and the Yingzhou warriors. It was Huning. Huning aimed at the ant warrior and rushed forward, punching out with both fists, like two dragons going out to sea. Seeing this, the ant warrior also punched out with a pair of fists, and shouted at the same time, looking for death. Bang! The four fists collided, making a dull sound of impact, and the visible ability wave spread out. After all, Huning was a level 3 primary evolver. How could he compare to the ant warrior's powerful strength? He flew backwards and crashed through the concrete wall of the tall building. Zah. People, garbage. The ant warrior mocked. I think you are the rubbish. Although the fight between the ant warrior and Huning lasted only a few seconds, Suanmin seized the opportunity and rushed out, slamming into the ant warrior's chest like a cannonball. A crisp bone-breaking sound can be heard, and the ant warrior was knocked out. The bat zombie in the air had already been chasing behind and was about to pounce on Suanmin's back and take a fierce bite at his neck. How wonderful is the blood of a level 3 evolver. Suanmin naturally felt the dangerous breath behind him, but it was too late to dodge. He touched his chest and thought to himself, Luo Ren should have escaped. However, at this moment, a voice rang out, HMPH. Did you forget that I'm still here? I didn't kill you last night, and I will definitely chop off your head today. Chapter 336 True Strength. I will behead you today. This sound was as cold as frost, as if it came from the land of Jiao. I felt the murderous intent, like the fierce shout of Shura in the sea of blood. The bat zombie looked back in astonishment. Its pupils suddenly tightened, and saw a figure galloping towards it. The speed was so fast that it was already behind it before it even took a breath, and slashed with a knife. The silver and black long knife whizzed towards it. If this knife is carried out, the head will definitely fall to the ground. At this moment, the figure in front of him shook, and Merutani Taishi suddenly appeared. He heard the sound of Kiran's sword being drawn, and later saw the shadow of the knife shaking. Merutani Taishi held a slender Yingzhou sword to fight against the black and white sword. Clang. There was a crisp sound and sparks flew everywhere. Luo Ren used his strength to do a backflip and landed firmly on the ground. He stared at Merutani Daishi and uttered 6 words. Quasi level 4 evolver. At the moment, when the bat warrior was in trance, Suanmin jumped several feet in front of his body and successfully escaped from the dangerous area. When he heard what Luo Ren said, his eyes suddenly appeared in horror, and he stared at Merutani Taishi in horror at the same time. He noticed Luo Ren and said anxiously, Sir Luo, didn't I tell you to run away first? Why are you still here? Ha ha ha. Luo Ren suddenly laughed, and then the laughter stopped abruptly. He said, so many brothers died along the way here, so I won't be willing to go back like this. But Suanmin was very anxious. Although the ant warrior was temporarily incapacitated by his fatal blow, there were also bat warriors and a near level 4 Merutani Daishi. At this time, his physical strength was severely exhausted, and the current situation was still unbearable. Be optimistic, Zah. Luo Ren, your sword is very good. It can compete with my demon pill without being damaged. What is its name? Mirutani. Daishi pointed at the knife in the distance, his wolf eyes staring straight at the silver kiss knife and Luo Ren's hand point. Luo Ren stroked the blade with 2 fingers, curled his fingers and struck it, making a sound as clear as a bell, and said, "This is the silver kiss, specially designed to kill Ying's Hao people and zombies. Silver kiss, aha, sounds good, I like it. I will accept your knife, and I will use it to kill 1,000 Zaya people." Mirutani Daishi said shamelessly. Aha. As soon as the figure flashed, Suanmin came to Luo Ren and whispered, "Same as usual, I hold them back, and you take the opportunity to escape. It's just a quasi level 4 evolver, just kill him, why run away?" Luo Ren turned his head, and looked at Suanmin, suddenly grinning, with no intention of retreating in his eyes. "Listen to me, Su." And men still wanted to persuade him, but before he finished speaking, Luo Ren jumped out and went straight to Mirutani Daishi. Mirutani Daishi locked his eyes on Luo Ren and swung his sword to attack. Clang, clang, clang. In the flash of lightning, the two fought each other more than 10 times, with harsh sounds and sparks flying everywhere. Mirutani Daishi mocked, "Your speed is too slow and your strength is too small. You are no match for me." Killing intent suddenly appeared in his eyes, and he said coldly, "I won't play with you anymore. Go to hell." He held the knife in both hands, took a step back with his left foot, and made a lunge, then raised the long knife above his head, and slashed down sharply. This action was completed in one go, and his speed exceeded the peak of level 3, and reached the level of almost level 4. In his imagination, the Zaya people in front of him would definitely not be able to avoid his swift and fierce sword. They would be cut in two, and their brains, internal organs, and blood would flow all over the place. However, in the face of this knife, Luo Ren did not show any fear or panic. He raised the corner of his mouth and said, "You are too slow." At the same time as the words fell, the knife had been chopped down, but there was no brain, viscera, or blood as expected. Mirutani Daishi's eyes suddenly froze, but he saw the figure in front of him gradually disappearing. This turned out to be just a phantom. "I'm here." At this moment, he suddenly felt someone patting his shoulder and heard Luo Ren's voice. He suddenly turned around and slashed, but when his eyes settled, there was nothing. "Here it is." There was another voice behind him, and he turned around quickly again, using a cross slash, but there was still nothing, and Luo Ren was nowhere to be seen. His eyes were solemn. He held his breath, and with a hint of fear in his heart, he asked, "Are you a human or a ghost?" "You don't need to know whether I'm a human or a ghost. However, I can tell you that you are about to become a ghost." Just as he finished speaking, a cold light suddenly flashed through, and Mirutani Daishi exclaimed in shock, "Ah!" Then his expression became dull, and the light in his eyes quickly disappeared. He wanted to turn around, but as soon as he moved, a blood stain immediately appeared on his neck, and then the head fell from his neck, and fell to the ground with a dull sound. At this moment, Luo Ren was holding a silver-kissed sword, standing behind Mirutani Daishi's headless body, raising his foot, and kicking the headless body in front of him to the ground. Blood spurted out like a fountain for 2 to 3 meters from the broken neck. Mirutani Daishi's defeat and death was so sudden that the Bat Warrior and Suanmin, as well as other Ying's Hao warriors and Zaya soldiers, did not react. They stopped fighting and looked here in shock. Luo Ren stepped forward and walked towards the Bat Warrior. With a smile on his face, he said, "I said I will kill you today." At this moment, in the eyes of Suanmin and others, Luo Ren is like a god of war descended from heaven, extremely brave. In the eyes of Bat Warrior and other Ying's Hao people, Luo Ren is an Asura who came from the abyss of the Sea of Blood, which makes people feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. When the Bat Warrior heard what Luo Ren said, his expression suddenly changed. He immediately gave up fighting Suanmin, and flapped his wings, trying to escape by flight. Seeing this, Luo Ren suddenly accelerated, leaving a shadow on the spot. His body instantly arrived in front of the Bat Warrior. He raised the knife, and dropped it without hesitation. He only heard a stab sound, and immediately blood and flesh flew everywhere, directly cutting into the Bat Warrior's body. One side of the flesh wing was cut off. Moving his steps, He dodged to the other side of the Bat Warrior, lifted up the silver-kissed knife, and with a stab sound, the other side of the fleshy wing was also cut off. At this time, the Bat Warrior lost its greatest flying advantage. Luo Ren then raised the knife and slashed it down diagonally, up to the shoulder, and out to the waist and abdomen. The bat zombie was split open directly with the knife, and its internal organs were flowing all over the floor. Of the 3 leaders, 2 died and 1 was seriously injured. The remaining Yingzhou warriors immediately panicked. This made them who had the upper hand immediately fell into a disadvantage, and were chased and beaten by Xia soldiers and guards. Luo Ren ducked in front of Mirutani Taishi's body, picked up the Inimaru sword, and threw it to Suanmin, shouting, "Why are you so stunned? There are still these miscellaneous soldiers to clean up." After that, he rushed straight into the melee, raising the knife in his hand, and bringing out a blood red, just like the bloody god of war. Suanmin came to his senses immediately, caught the Inimaru sword, and rushed into the melee, killing him until the sky was dark and there was no one in Yingzhou. The long knife slashed into the flesh and blood spattered for more than 3 feet. The splattered blood dyed the clothes red, and the smell of blood in this world became even stronger. With the participation of Luo Ren and Suanmin, in just 10 minutes, all the remaining Yingzhou warriors were killed on the spot. Chapter 337 Alien Technology. But, at this moment, the End warriors rushed out from the hole in the building. Seeing the scene, they couldn't help but roar in anger. Read then, shadows covered it, and it looked up, only to see a person falling from the sky, like a god of death. The knife was so fast, that it had already chopped down before its nerves could react. It could even hear the sound of the blade cutting into its flesh, and shattering its bones, and then it felt its life passing by rapidly. Within 2 or 3 seconds, it saw Daishi Mirutani and the Bat Warrior walking towards it, and then everything went dark. Luo Ren put away the knife, stretched his muscles, and said, "All the damn people are finally dead." At this time, Suanmin came over. He looked at Luo Ren. He didn't know whether he was too shocked to speak, or he didn't know what to say. He was silent for a long time, and finally asked, "Sir Luo, you, before." He finished asking, Luo Ren said directly, "Yes, I have hidden my strength. I'm not a level 3 evolver, but a level 4 evolver, level 4. Suanmin was even more shocked when he learned the answer. He had never thought that Luo Ren was actually a level 4 evolver. He had never seen a level 4 evolver even in the military area. It looks like a ghost and takes photos at extremely fast speeds. What a speed. Full of shock, he then asked, "How did you break through level 4? Did you hunt level 4 zombies or evolved animals?" Luo Ren smiled and nodded. It was not a denial, but more of an affirmation. He would not foolishly expose something that would be beneficial to him, like the dragon pattern crystal, because the fewer people who knew about it, the better. It's like, the fewer people know how to make money, the more money those who know it can make. Point after all, who would be foolish enough to give away their wealth? Therefore, any teacher, professor, or expert who teaches people to make money must have the intention of cutting leaks. Suanmin was even more shocked. The only level 4 creature he had seen so far was the Mother Corpse, but the Mother Corpse did not produce evolutionary crystals. As for other level 4 zombies or evolved animals, he had never seen it before. But Luo Ren has actually hunted level 4 creatures, obtained level 4 evolution crystals, and became a level 4 evolver. I really don't know where he found the level 4 creatures, and what method he used to kill the powerful level 4 creatures. This man is really full of secrets. He decided in his heart that when he returned to Chiang City, he would ask his sister Su and Tong why Luo Ren killed level 4 creatures. Team Leader Su, we'd better deal with the corpse palace quickly to avoid further trouble. Seeing Suanmin in a daze, Luo Ren reminded him. Suanmin reacted, nodded, and said, "Yes." He waved, and the rest of the people gathered around and got ready to go. Luo Ren looked beyond the gate, and there was still darkness in the corpse hall. He recalled what Mirutani Daishi said during his lifetime: God's Nest and God Clan technology. Among them, the Divine Nest was obviously referring to the corpse palace. As for the technology of the gods, he was a little confused, but he also vaguely guessed something. He suddenly asked, "Team Leader Su, is it true that there are only female corpses in this corpse palace?" Hearing this, Suan Min was obviously stunned for a moment and immediately glanced at Huning and others who came with him and then quickly looked away. He heard clearly and remembered what Mirutani Daishi said before his death and thought to himself, Luo Ren is a smart man. If I still lie to him now, I will definitely arouse his suspicion point. Whether it is Chiang City under his command or his own strength, it is definitely worthy of attention. At this moment, instead of lying and deceiving, it is better to be sincere, not to mention leaving a good impression, at least not to let him have a bad impression of our military. After he figured it out, he faced Luo Ren and said sincerely, now that the matter is over, I won't hide it anymore. There are indeed not only mother corpses in the corpse hall, but also alien technology. Oh, alien technology. Luo Ren looked surprised. The divine technology Mirutani Daishi mentioned was actually alien technology, but why did alien technology appear in the corpse hall? Suan Min reached into his clothes and took out a round ball. The ball was silver and steel colored, with round thumbtack-like protrusions and horizontal and vertical lines on it. Suan Min said, this thing is called a thunderstorm bomb. It was obtained from the corpse hall in Shanping City. Although it only weighs 500 grams, it contains an explosive power equivalent to 10 tons of TNT. Luo Ren exclaimed, this little gadget is so powerful? He then asked, could this be a miniaturized nuclear weapon? Suan Min shook his head and said, although it is powerful, it is not a nuclear weapon, and the main substance inside is not nuclear material, but thunder and lightning. Luo Ren said, thunder and lightning? Yes, it's lightning. Suan Min put away the thunderstorm bombs again and explained, although Shanping City Corpse Hall was bombed by our missiles, resulting in the death of the mother's corpse and the collapse of the surface building, there was not much damage to the underground layer. In the underground levels, we find alien technology such as thunderstorm compression devices. The thunderstorm compression device, as the name suggests, absorbs thunderstorm lightning and compresses it into a crystalline state. The compressed thunderstorm crystals contain huge energy. After our scientists worked tirelessly on research and experiments, they created a detonating ball. The thunderstorm crystal core was placed into the detonating ball, and the thunderstorm bomb was completed. In addition to being used as weapons, scientists have also researched and produced energy releases, which can release the electrical energy in thunderstorm nuclei in an orderly and safe manner and supply it to various devices that require an electrical energy point. And we are still researching light and heavy weapons such as electromagnetic cluster guns and electromagnetic cluster guns. Luo Ren was dumbfounded and extremely surprised. Electromagnetic cluster cannons and electromagnetic cluster guns can only be seen in science fiction movies, and the Zaya State military is already studying them. When he got here, he had to ask, since you have powerful weapons like thunderbolts and bomb all the way, why do you let so many people die? Suan Min smiled bitterly and said, the thunderstorm compression device needs to be in thunderstorm weather, and it can collect thunderstorm energy only when there is lightning and thunder. After a thunderstorm, it can only generate up to 10 thunderstorm crystal nuclei. How can you just throw them away? Bomb at will. My thunderstorm crystal core is to prevent accidents in the mission, causing the alien technology in Mother Corpse in the Corpse Palace to become someone else's wedding dress. Therefore, Shangfeng specially approved it for me and will return it to me after I complete this mission and return. Gotta turn it in. So that's it. Luo Ren understood in his heart and then asked, so, there is also a thunderstorm compression device under this corpse palace? Suan Min still shook his head and said, you can only know this after seeing it. In that case, what are we waiting for? Let's enter the palace. Luo Ren said anxiously. After listening to what Suan Min said, he couldn't wait to see the mysterious alien technology under the corpse palace. If it is useful to Chiang City, he wouldn't mind further discussions with Suan Min. Just the benefits of Mother Corpse are not worth the price he paid. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338 Mother Corpse. Huning took out a flashlight, and Luo Ren and Suan Min entered the corpse hall with flashlights. Read da 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 da. Because of his inner vigilance, the sound of every footfall in the corpse hall was extremely clear, and Luo Ren could even hear Suan Min's breathing. This smell is really exciting. Luo Ren covered his mouth and nose with one hand, but it didn't work much. He only felt that the smell of dead fish was everywhere, and it was fishy and unpleasant. Dong dong dong. The sound of heartbeat fell into his ears. He looked at Suan Min and teased, "Team leader Su doesn't need to be so nervous. His heart is about to jump out." Suan Min did not answer. The light from the flashlight he held tightly illuminated the front, and his eyes were fixed on the front. Seeing this, Luo Ren looked in the direction of the light and was startled. He said in surprise, "Oh my god, what the hell?" On the cystic flesh, there were more than 10 tumors, some as big as buckets, and some as big as balls. Regardless of size, each tumor was beating like a heart, and making a sound similar to a heartbeat. The light moved to the left, and the cystic flesh suddenly shrank at the end. The two saw a head the size of a normal human, with messy long hair, round eyes like balls, and light red eyeballs filling the entire eye socket. The mouth was split to the ear roots, and it was now wide open, revealing 2 rows of sharp shark-like teeth, and sticky saliva dripping down. Looking at the neck of this creature, it was only 2 fingers long, almost like there was no neck. Such a strange appearance really made people's scalps numb and their hearts terrified. Suan Min said, "This is the mother corpse." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly heard a click sound, as if something fell to the ground. He hurriedly moved the light source to find the source of the sound, and saw a meatball the size of a bucket fall into the ground from the cystic flesh of the mother corpse. A closer look revealed that it was covered with dense cracks. Suan Min explained, "The mature corpse eggs will be separated from the mother's body, and the zombie cubs inside will hatch within 24 hours, and then quickly grow to adult size, with strength and speed reaching the level of a level 1 zombie, which is stronger than ordinary strength zombies and speed zombies." Mother corpse. Luo Ren looked at the cystic body, and then his eyes moved to the corpse eggs that fell on the ground. His eyes rolled, and he immediately drew out the silver kiss-long knife, took a step forward, and the whole person disappeared from the original place, and appeared in front of the corpse egg. With a puff, the corpse egg was cut open by him. Dark red liquid flowed out of the knife, which looked like zombie blood, but it didn't smell fishy. As the dark red liquid flowed out, the corpse egg gradually became thinner and shrunken. Suddenly there was a piercing howl, as if the evil ghosts of the 9 nether hell had escaped, but it was the mother corpse who saw the corpse eggs being destroyed and was angry. She wanted to stop it, but was unable to do so, so she could only howl to express her dissatisfaction and anger regardless of how the mother corpse howled. Luo Ren continued to use a knife to pry open the egg skin, revealing a zombie that was only the size of a human newborn baby curled up inside. The zombie baby had grey skin and no vitality. It was probably because Luo Ren had pierced the corpse egg, causing it to be born prematurely and die. Seeing this scene, Luo Ren retreated to Suan Min's side and asked, "Does the zombie baby also have evolution crystals in its brain?" Suan Min shook his head and said, "No. That's a pity." Luo Ren felt a pity in his heart after hearing this, and then his eyes swept over the mother corpse as a whole. Seeing this huge body that was several times larger than that of a level 3 strength zombie, he said, "The mother corpse is so huge that it is not easy to transport." Suan Min smiled and said, "Don't worry, after the mother corpse sees the strong light, the meat and eggs on her body will fall off immediately, and the huge body will shrink to normal size within 7 hours. At that time, it will be extremely weak. We need to transport it back to Chiang City within 48 hours. Find a dimly lit place, feed it a lot of flesh and blood, and it will return to normal size. In the future, you only need to feed it flesh and blood, and it will continue to produce corpse eggs. After these corpse eggs fall, take them to a cage that can at least resist level 1 zombies, and wait for them to hatch and grow freely. At that time, you can hunt them to obtain evolution crystals, or do not feed them flesh and blood, let them kill each other, devour each other, and evolve to a higher level, so that you can get higher level evolution crystals. Of course, prerequisite, the cages are strong enough, otherwise it would be a big problem if these zombies escaped. Luo Ren was very surprised after hearing this, and said, So, as long as there is a strong enough cage, we can cultivate level 3 zombies, level 4 zombies, and even level 5 zombies? In theory, it is like this. Suan Min nodded, and suddenly changed the subject, and said, according to the theoretical speculation of our military scientists, it takes more than 10 level 1 zombies to evolve a level 2 zombie, and it takes more than 10 level 2 zombies to evolve a level 3 zombie. That is, more than 100 or several hundred level 1 zombies by analogy. Level 4 zombies require more than 1,000 or several thousand level 1 zombies. It is not a big deal to let a mother zombie give birth to 1,000 zombies, but it requires a lot of blood and flesh to feed them during this period, which is not an easy task for a force that has not yet solved the problem of food and clothing for most people. Therefore, in my opinion, it is better to use level 1 evolution crystals to improve the strength of the army soldiers first. You know, thousands of level 1 peak evolutionists can be much more effective than a single number of level 3 peak evolutionists in large-scale group combat. He didn't mention the level 4 evolver because he had only seen Luo Ren take action, but he had no real experience of it himself, so he should be more cautious. Hearing this, Luo Ren's surprise had disappeared for the most part. In this case, it was still the right way to find a way to increase the population and upgrade the base. I wonder what powerful weapons and equipment the level 5 base would unlock. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but think of the military's provincial capital base, which had a population of 3 million. If it could be taken down, it would be beautiful to think about it. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but raise an arc. Suan Min saw Luo Ren's strange expression and couldn't help asking, Captain Luo, what's wrong with you? Luo Ren immediately reacted, waved his hand, and hurriedly said, it's okay, it's okay. This reaction of doing something wrong was seen by Suan Min, making him feel very strange. He didn't know what strange things Luo Ren was thinking about. Just as he was about to take a deep breath and suppress his curiosity, he suddenly thought of the stench of dead fish in the room. If he took a deep breath like this, at best his stomach would churn, and he would feel nauseous for a while. At worst he would die on the spot, which would not be worth it. Thinking of this, he covered his mouth and nose and breathed normally, not daring to open his mouth too wide, so he whispered, the mother corpse is bloated and weak, and she can't escape without anyone guarding her. We should quickly search for the underground entrance, go down underground, and get the alien technology, so that we can go back earlier. Luo Ren nodded seriously and replied, okay. Chapter 339 Ancient Alien Ruins. The light in the corpse hall was dim. In fact, it would be completely dark without the light from the flashlights they carried. Luo Ren and Suan Min were responsible for one side each, looking for the entrance to the basement. After an unknown amount of time, Luo Ren suddenly shouted, we have searched the entire corpse hall, so where is the entrance to the basement? Suan Min paused for a moment, stood up from his half-squatting position, walked to the mother corpse, and then said, we haven't searched the entire corpse hall yet. Luo Ren glanced sideways, his eyes turned, and then he raised his flashlight and walked quickly to Suan Min's side. He looked at the mother corpse and said, you mean, the underground entrance is blocked by the mother corpse? Suan Min said, that's what I think. He looked at Luo Ren and explained said, last time, the corpse hall in Shanping City collapsed when we bombarded it with missiles, and the mother corpse was also blown into many pieces of meat of different sizes. The underground entrance was discovered when we were searching for evolution crystals. Therefore, we don't know where the underground entrance is in the complete corpse hall. After a pause, he looked left and right, and then said, since no underground entrance has been found in other places, there is only this one. Well, you are right. Luo Ren rubbed his chin, nodded, and agreed with Suan Min's words. Looking up, he saw the cystic body of the mother corpse, which had more than a dozen tumors and a weird face like an evil ghost. He was not afraid, but felt a little sick. He made a gesture of invitation and said, Team Leader Su, I'll light the way for you. Please start, Su. Suan Min looked over, but Luo Ren avoided looking at him. Suan Min knew what Luo Ren was thinking, because the image of the mother corpse made him feel disgusted. As the saying goes, the first to speak wins. There was no other way, so he could only hand his flashlight to Luo Ren, then hold his breath, Approach the cystic body of the mother corpse, exhale lightly, and hug the chubby body of the mother corpse, which felt very wonderful to the touch. This action made the mother corpse howl sharply. The eyes on the face were wide and round, and the mouth that was cracked to the ears was wide open, which truly interpreted what a bloody mouth was. A large amount of sticky saliva kept dripping, and the 2 small hands and feet growing on the cystic body gestured quickly. If it weren't for the depressing atmosphere here, and the appearance of the mother corpse was really hard to describe, otherwise the small hands and feet would really feel a bit cute. Luo Ren saw Suan-min holding the cystic body with both hands. Although it was not his own, he still felt his scalp tingling. This is a normal phenomenon, just like some people will feel nauseous and an inexplicable feeling when they see a toad. Suan-min mobilized his energy to move the several-ton mother corpse away, exposing the place it was covering. After moving the mother corpse away, Suan-min quickly let go and stepped back. This thing was too disgusting. At this time, Luo Ren went up and returned the flashlight to Suan-min, then searched with his eyes, and suddenly his eyes were determined. He walked forward quickly and said, "There is something wrong." Suan-min walked over after hearing the sound. Luo Ren stamped his feet, then gave him a look. He looked down and saw the ground. He saw that the ground, which should have been flat, now had a square with a length and width of about 3 meters. He squatted down and touched it with his hand. It was not a dotted line, but a small crack point. He was pleasantly surprised and said, "This is it. It is exactly the same as the entrance to the corpse hall in Shanping City." Luo Ren was also pleasantly surprised and asked, "How do I open it?" "Simple." Suan-min looked up at Luo Ren and said, "Captain Luo, please move aside." Luo Ren hurriedly stepped back 2 steps and withdrew from the underground entrance. Suan-min knocked on the 4-sided entrance with his knuckles and heard a relatively loud dong 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 sound. It can be seen that it must be hollow underneath. He subconsciously took a deep breath, and his face suddenly turned purple. He hurriedly held his breath and said in a deep voice, "It's careless." Luo Ren said, "It's better to be more rigorous in this kind of place." After all, he was a level 3 peak evolver. Suan-min recovered quickly and didn't dare to take a deep breath again. He just clenched his right fist without any warning and hit the 4-sided entrance directly. Bang! There was a loud noise, and more than 10 cracks spread from the upper floor of the 4-sided entrance to the surrounding area with the fist as the center. After one hit failed, Suan-min raised his fist and hit again. The last loud noise was still echoing in the corpse hall, and then there was a second loud noise. With the second punch, Suan-min felt that his fist was unstoppable. When he fell down, the 4 obstacles had broken, revealing a 4-sided hole with a length and width of 3 meters. Standing on the edge and looking down, it was about 6 or 7 meters high. At the bottom was a stone platform with exquisite patterns engraved on it. The length and width were only 3 meters, like a well. Luo Ren looked at Suan-min with a suspicious look and said, "Are you sure this is a basement, not a well? Is there alien technology under it?" Suan-min smiled and said, "Don't worry, you will understand after you go down." After that, he jumped down directly, landed smoothly, looked around, then raised his head and waved to Luo Ren, then stepped to the left and disappeared under Luo Ren's eyes. How could Luo Ren not be surprised by this? He jumped down without hesitation. After landing, he looked left and right and suddenly realized it. Looking down from above, the flashlight was not bright enough, and the angle was wrong, so he didn't see the other world. This is an entrance 3 meters wide and 3 meters high. After walking 2 steps inside, Luo Ren didn't pay attention to his feet. His left foot missed, and he suddenly sank down. Then he quickly touched the ground. The flashlight shone down, and his eyes moved down. It turned out to be a step. This step is also made of stone. It looks like it should be made of bluestone. There are also exquisite carvings on it. He moved the flashlight up again and saw the wall on the right. The material is also bluestone. There are patterns of flowers, birds, fish, insects, ancient hunting, totem worship, etc. on it. The totem is a flying dragon. There are 7 origins drawn on the dragon. The origins are inlaid with luminous fluorite. The fluorite is round and smooth, just like the legendary night pearl. These origins are distributed in various positions on the dragon, some on the head, some on the shoulders, some on the claws, and some on the tail. These origins are connected by lines. To present an abstract dragon, is this a constellation? Luo Ren gently stroked the dragon pattern, feeling the fine lines, the same width and depth everywhere, and the stone surface was as smooth as a mirror, which should have been polished very finely. Suanmin, who was walking in front, said, the same is true for the underground passage in Shanping City. The dragon pattern and stairs are exactly the same. Our military experts have studied that this dragon totem and dragon star system may be an ancient alien civilization that came to Earth in ancient times and spread civilization in my Shenzhou. This is a relic they left behind. Luo Ren shook his head after hearing this, disagreeing with Suanmin's statement, and retorted, since it is an ancient relic, and it is in such an obvious location in the city center, why hasn't it been discovered in peacetime in the past? Why do we have to wait until this disaster that almost exterminated mankind comes, and the zombies build a corpse palace on the surface before we know it? Was it not detected during the large-scale urban construction? Or was this relic not originally here, and it grew legs and ran here by itself? Chapter 340 Alien Technology, Part 1. Suanmin couldn't find a corresponding answer to Luo Ren's question in his mind, and he felt that Luo Ren was right. Since it was an ancient relic, it would not be mentioned in ancient times, but modern civilization has been vigorously building infrastructure for more than 100 years. City construction. If there are alien ruins under the city, they will definitely be discovered. But in fact, no alien ruins have been discovered before. It can only be said that this disaster came suddenly, and these ruins appeared too suddenly. However, he hoped that more ruins would suddenly appear. The high technology in them could quickly improve the level of human civilization, and improve mankind's ability to resist disaster's ability. He pondered for a moment and said, there have been so many weird and strange things happening. The sudden appearance of alien ruins is not that strange. Let's not care about its origin for now. The alien technology underneath is still waiting for us. Luo Ren laughed, waved his hand and said, you're right, never mind it. Get the alien technology first. The two reached an agreement and immediately walked down the bluestone steps quickly. The steps were circular and went around, not down a slope. After walking for about 3 or 4 minutes, the depth has already exceeded 100 meters. The strange thing is that there is no feeling of suffocation due to lack of oxygen in the more than 100 meters deep underground, and there is no smell like the corpse hall. Being in it feels like being on the ground. Exactly the same. No discomfort at all. A faint blue light suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. Suanmin, who was in front, raised his hand to signal to stop. He looked back at Luo Ren with uncontrollable excitement in his eyes and said, we are here. After that, he started walking. The pace slowed down a lot at this time. He walked down the steps one step at a time and rounded a bend. A faint blue light illuminated the road ahead. It was no longer a circular staircase, but a 45-meter staircase sloping down. Going down the stairs, Luo Ren silently counted 64 steps in total. The scene in front of me suddenly became clear. I stood there and glanced around. This was a hexagonal basement with an area no less than the surface corpse palace. The 6 walls were inlaid with round fluorite that emitted a faint blue light. The total number was 9098. 11. Looking up, the ceiling is also inlaid with round fluorites, and they are even larger, half the size of a basketball. There are 108 in total, like stars in the sky. In addition to these fluorite, there are also exquisite murals carved and painted on the walls and ceilings. On the walls are fish, insects, birds and beasts, and ancestor sacrifices. On the ceiling are carved the sun, moon, stars, soaring dragons and auspicious clouds. His eyes moved down and settled on the center. There were 3 stone boxes, 2 large and 1 small, quietly placed there. The big one was 2 meters high and 2 meters wide. The small one was cut in half, 1 meter high and 1 meter wide. Between 2 large stone boxes, Luo Ren and Suanmin walked to the stone box, and Luo Ren couldn't help but complain, is this alien technology or an alien tomb? There are depressions on the stone box. Let's press it down and try. Suanmin said after carefully observing the stone box. Luo Ren nodded and said, try the 2 big ones first. The two of them each walked to a stone box, looked at each other, then looked away, then stretched out their hands to press the circular depression. Hiss. The moment his palm touched the stone box, it felt like being pricked by a needle. It stung suddenly. Luo Ren's subconscious reflex retracted his palm. Suanmin did the same and jerked his palm away. Kakaka, at this moment, the stone box suddenly vibrated and a stream of light lit up on the edge, and then the top of the stone box floated up as if it was affected by some mysterious ability. The surrounding areas are sinking, slowly submerging into the ground. The contents of the stone box were gradually revealed. The top of the stone box was floating to the top, and there was a hole of a suitable size at the top, which was filled directly. The four directions are also completely submerged into the ground, and they are integrated, with no gaps at all. At this moment, the contents of the stone box were completely exposed to the sights of Luo Ren and Suanmin. In front of Luo Ren was a machine that was generally grey and black, with a transparent top and a sophisticated structure. The machine in front of Suanmin was red and blue in color and equally sophisticated in structure. Evolutionary crystal tempering device. Put in the evolutionary crystal, can temper 75% to 85% of the life energy contained in it. If you take the evolution crystal directly, life can only absorb 63% of the energy. If it is life energy, it can be absorbed perfectly without any loss. People with deep pockets can directly use the evolution crystals. If they are in a tight situation, it is recommended to take life energy after tempering. The fusion gene extraction device can extract up to level 5 life genes and produce fusion genes. All carbon-based life forms can obtain corresponding abilities by taking fusion genes from non-native creatures, such as flight, speed, strength, camouflage, etc. However, taking fusion genes will change their own appearance. Those with facial issues should be careful when taking them. A clear and melodious girl's voice suddenly sounded. After listening to it, the two knew that it was introducing the machine in front of them. Luo Ren looked at the machine in front of him, touched his nose, and evolved the crystal tempering device. He has a better thing for this thing. He turned his attention to the machine in front of Suanmin, the fusion gene extraction device. This thing sounded pretty good, but I didn't know if the research institute had it. Unlike Luo Ren, who was indifferent, Suanmin had excitement written all over his face. The former can enhance the effect of evolutionary crystals, while the latter can produce fusion genes to enhance personal combat effectiveness. They are both treasures. When he saw Luo Ren's calm face, he was stunned and thought to himself, Suanmin, you are a deputy commander at least. You look so ignorant. Look at him, he is so calm. Thinking of this, he coughed a few times to suppress his excitement. Although he couldn't suppress it from time to time, he was much calmer than before. Luo Ren could see it, but he didn't expose Suanmin. After all, men always have to save face. He moved his eyes to the smaller stone box, wondering what kind of high tech was inside. Seeing this, Suanmin also cast his eyes on the small stone box. He couldn't help holding his breath and concentrating. He could hear the sound of his heartbeat. He couldn't wait to know what was inside the small stone box. Swallowing his saliva, he resisted the impulse in his heart and said, Commander Luo, please. Luo Ren didn't say anything polite, because he also wanted to know what was inside the small stone box. He nodded, walked to the small stone box, looked at his palm, and then pressed down on the circular concave area. Although he was mentally prepared, the stinging feeling still made him gasp. He quickly withdrew his hand and stared at the stone box quietly. The stone box vibrated, the top plate floated up, and the 4 square plates sank. The items inside gradually came into his and Suanmin's sight. Chapter 341 Alien Technology, Part 2. HMM. Luo Ren looked back at Suanmin in surprise, then turned back again and took a closer look. This small stone box did not contain any precision instruments like the other 2 large stone boxes. Inside it was a lotus bud nearly 1 meter high, about to bloom. A closer look revealed that this lotus was not a real lotus, but a material that was neither gold nor stone. He could not help but admire its strong craftsmanship. The petals, stems, and leaves were lifelike, and it was difficult to tell whether they were real or fake. Suddenly, the petals of the lotus slowly unfolded, as if a real lotus had bloomed, revealing the lotus pod in the center. The material of the lotus pod was also neither gold nor stone, let alone plastic. Suddenly, a burst of light burst out from the small hole on the top of the lotus pod, projecting an image. The projection content was a set of armor with the name, Star Armor. According to the comprehensive projection description, Star Armor is an exoskeleton combat armor that can help low-level life forms defeat life forms that are higher than themselves. It is also divided into levels, namely Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, Level 4, Level 5, and planetary level. Corresponding to Level 1 life, Level 2 life, Level 3 life, Level 4 life, Level 5 life, and planetary level life. This armor is so powerful. Luo Ren admired from the bottom of his heart, and at the same time, his eyes moved down and saw the armor production details. He subconsciously reached out to touch it. Perhaps he was used to it when building the base, and he couldn't help but get started when he saw the projection. Unexpectedly, this was not a projection that could only be viewed, but a controllable projection screen point. When his finger touched the armor production details, the projection screen changed, and when he looked again, it turned out to be a Level 1 Star Armor production drawing, with all the details of the production described. The palm slid, and the screen continued to jump to the Level 2 Star Armor production drawing. Another swipe, the screen jumped to the Level 3 Star Armor production drawing point. In this way, there are production drawings from Level 1 to planetary level. At this moment, Luo Ren's heart also added a bit of excitement, and the Star Armor made him excited. Suanmin was even more serious. No matter how he suppressed it, his excitement was completely beyond words. Luo Ren suddenly reached out to take the lotus pod. As if sensing it, the lotus pod projection was turned off. When his palm touched the lotus pod, it felt as warm as jade. He picked it up directly without any effort. It seemed that it was not fixed to the lotus. Holding the warm lotus pod, his eyes flickered, and he suddenly looked at Suanmin. He stared at him for a long time, and suddenly smiled and handed the lotus pod to Suanmin, saying, "Team Leader Su, this is a good thing. If it can be made and equipped to the army, the combat power will be improved. It is not inferior to the evolution crystal at all, or even stronger." Suanmin took the lotus pod, looked at it carefully, nodded, and said, "Yes, if this kind of armor can be mass produced, it will be more economical than raising mother corpses to obtain evolution crystals. In the current situation, there is no shortage of various materials, but meat is relatively scarce. Zombie meat cannot be eaten, and evolved animals are not easy to deal with. The demand for captive livestock is greater than the supply, and this is the situation in Xiang City. As for other forces, it will only be more difficult. Therefore, if the Star Armor can be mass produced, even if it is only a Level 1 armor, it will be more cost effective than raising mother corpses." As for this mass production, Luo Ren thought that Xiang City did not have the ability for the time being. Although there are research institutes, researchers, and a population of 500,000, there is no shortage of workers. But to produce such high-tech equipment, it is not only people, but also various basic equipment. After a moment of silence, he suddenly laughed a few times. Suanmin heard the laughter, looked over, and asked, "Why are you laughing, Chief Luo?" Luo Ren sighed, his face full of grievances, and said, "On this way, 5,000 soldiers and horses were reduced to less than 1,000, and the consumption of chariots and weapons was also great." Hearing these words, Suanmin immediately understood what Luo Ren wanted to express, smiled and shook his head, and said, "Chief Luo, there is no need to do this. These 3 alien technologies are not disposable. We can use them together. Can you make the decision on this matter?" Luo Ren asked. Suanmin shook his head and said, "I can't make the decision." Then he said, "But I can ask Commander Su. Commander Su is very righteous, and will definitely agree." Seeing that Luo Ren's expression was normal, he paused and said, "How about this? Let's take the things back to Xiang City first, and then discuss it later." He took the initiative to bring the things back to Xiang City to show his intentions. Luo Ren is a level 4 evolver, and his Xiang troops are strong. If he can be pulled into the military, Chiang City can be established as a base for H City, which will be a great help in maintaining the stability of the surrounding areas, and these things are indeed not disposable. They can be used together, and they only need to provide the raw materials themselves, so that the military will not lose money. The most important thing is that, if he refuses on the spot, Luo Ren will be angry and embarrassed. Facing a level 4 revolver, he is not sure that he can detonate the thunderstorm bomb before he dies. After hearing this, Luo Ren secretly analyzed in his heart that it would be beneficial for him to transport the things back to Chiang City for discussion. It can be seen that Su Anmin is very sincere. He immediately nodded and agreed, saying, "Okay." After that, the two began to move the 3 treasures. Outside the corpse hall, dozens of people were waiting for Luo Ren and Su Anmin in the scorching sun. Huning kept pacing back and forth, his face full of anxiety. When he first entered, there were still noises from time to time, but now nearly half an hour has passed, and there is no movement in the corpse hall. He is very worried about the safety of Luo Ren and Su Anmin. If it weren't for the order restriction, they would have rushed into the corpse hall long ago. At this moment, his ears suddenly stood up, and finally there was movement again. He stared closely at the door of the corpse hall, and soon saw Luo Ren walking out holding a 2-meter high stone box, and Su Anmin also holding the stone box came out shortly after. Putting the stone box on the ground carefully, Luo Ren quickly got back into the corpse hall, and soon came out with a stone box 1 meter long and wide. When he put it down, he was very careful. Huning and others looked at the stone box curiously. Like curious babies, they all wanted to know what was in the stone box, which deserved the attention of the 2 officers. Luo Ren said, "The interior space of the personnel carrier is sufficient, but the entrance is a bit small, and these 2 big guys can't fit in." After a pause, he said confidently, "But it doesn't matter, they can be stuffed in with some modifications. As for the mother's corpse," he touched his chin, thought for a while, and said, "You said it will shrink when it sees strong light. Without further ado, let's move it out quickly." He looked at the door of the corpse hall, and couldn't help but frown. Compared to the huge body of the mother's corpse, the door was a bit small. He looked at Su Anmin and said, "Just remove the roof of the corpse hall and let the sunlight shine in." Su Anmin thought this idea was a good one, and immediately ordered, "Huning, take people to remove the top of the corpse hall. Remember, after it is dismantled, no one can leave half a step away. You must keep an eye on the mother corpse. After the mother corpse returns to its normal size, its speed and strength will reach the peak of level 1. You must remember that you can only subdue, not kill, or seriously injured." Huning responded, "Understood." Chapter 342. After returning to the city, Part 1. In the blink of an eye, almost 7 hours passed from morning to dusk. Luo Ren swallowed the remaining half of the compressed dry food in his hand, and looked back at the armored vehicle behind him. He saw that the door of the armored vehicle had been removed, and the door frames on both sides had been forcibly opened. A stone box 2 meters long and wide separated the inner space. All occupied. This is what he said. It can be used after modification. Suddenly he stretched out and saw that it was already dusk. He couldn't help but think of the mother's corpse. After such a long time, the mother's corpse should have returned to its normal shape. Just as he was thinking this, Su Anmin came over and said, "Sir Luo, it's been almost 7 hours. Let's go see how the mother's body is doing." Luo Ren nodded and happily accepted the invitation. The 2 of them quickly came to the center of the city, where the corpse hall was. Because the danger had been eliminated, and they only needed to keep an eye on the mother's corpse, there were only 4 or 5 people left here. Several people led by Huning came up to welcome the general. They were very respectful and greeted in unison, "Team leader, Chief Luo." Su Anmin nodded slightly and asked, "How is the mother's body doing now?" Huning replied, "Report to the team leader that the female corpse has returned to normal size and is restrained by us and cannot escape." "Very good." Su Anmin nodded with satisfaction and said to Luo Ren, "Then let's go take a look." Ning was very discerning and immediately made a gesture and said, "Please, Luo." Ren and Su Anmin followed Huning into the corpse hall. At this time, the corpse hall was bright and clear, and the smell of dead fish in the room was much lighter because there was a big hole in the top. It was Huning, and the other's masterpiece. Huning pointed out his hand and said, "To officers, look, that is the mother's corpse, after it has returned to normal size." There was no need for him to remind Luo Ren and Su Anmin when they entered the corpse hall and saw the mother's corpse. The mother's corpse was tied up with a 2-finger thick hemp rope and her head was left breathing like a living mummy. When the female corpse saw them coming in, it immediately opened its wide mouth and let out a shrill howl like a ghost demanding its life. Its round eyes were full of fear, and it tried hard to break free and break the rope on its body. Unfortunately, not strong enough, he could only squirm like a caterpillar. As Luo Ren, Su Anmin, and Huning approached, the fear in its eyes became more obvious, and its howling became more and more shrill. Luo Ren frowned slightly, feeling that the howling was too harsh. He looked at Su Anmin and said, "Can I knock it out? This thing is too disturbing." Su Anmin shook his head and said, "It's best not to hurt the mother corpse, otherwise it may affect the growth of baby corpses in the future." After thinking for a while, he continued, "You can try covering its eyes and plugging its ears, or be able to calm it down." He did what he thought of, and he immediately ordered, "Huning, go find something to plug the ears of the mother corpse and cover the eyes of the mother corpse." "Yes," Huning responded, and left the corpse hall. Huning came back soon, holding a black rag and an earphone in his hand. Judging from the shape, the earphone should have been removed from the tank. It was very effective in terms of sound isolation and noise reduction. Cover the eyes of the female corpse with rags, and then put on headphones. After a second look, it looks like a fusion of ancient Egyptian civilization and modern civilization. It is very fashionable. As expected, Su Anmin guessed correctly. The blindfolded female corpse with her ears blocked immediately stopped howling and turned her head blankly. She didn't know what she was thinking about at this moment when her head was filled with dark red blood. "What a mess." Su Anmin ordered again. "Huning, take the mother's body and let's leave here." Huning, the tool man, nodded in agreement, rolled up his sleeves, carried the mother's corpse, and followed Luo Ren and Su Anmin out of the corpse hall. Walking on the road, Luo Ren looked up and saw that the moon had appeared and the night sky was dotted with several bright stars. He looked back at the mother's body on Huning's shoulder and asked, "It's dark now and there is no strong light from the sun. Will the female corpse regain its previous huge size?" Su Anmin said, "Don't worry, as long as you don't give it flesh and blood, it won't recover." Luo Ren felt relieved and returned to the army. Although it was getting late, he said, "It is too dangerous to travel at night. It is better to rest here for one night and return to the city at dawn tomorrow." Su Anmin agreed with this. Now that they are running out of ammunition and food, their team's main defense force is the remaining dozens of evolvers. To protect the mother corpse and the 3 alien technologies, they must be more cautious. 3 or 5 bonfires were raised. Only the evolved ones did not hide in armored vehicles or tanks. The remaining more than 1,000 people were hiding in vehicles. Although they had weapons, they had no ammunition. It was okay to deal with ordinary zombies, but they had to facing evolved zombies is almost to death. The orange flame swayed with the wind, as if dancing. As time went by, the bright moon climbed from the easterly position to directly above people's heads, seeming to intentionally tell people that it was late at night. By this time, the flames had gone out, and suddenly a strong wind blew, making people's clothes rustle, and debris on the ground tumbling. Hearing the whistling of the wind, Luo Ren closed his eyes to rest, and opened his eyes. 2 rays of light shot out from them, and his sharp gaze scanned all directions. Aha! Suddenly, a black shadow flew past his eyes. He picked up the gravel on the ground and threw it with his arms. With a whoosh sound, the stone was like a bullet coming out of the barrel. It was extremely fast and hit the shadow in the blink of an eye. I heard a wow. Crow, it's really a biological evolution. If it were in the past, this stone would have knocked down even a pheasant. Luo Ren muttered to himself after hearing this. After seeing the black shadow flying away, he continued to close his eyes and rest. The next day, early in the morning, the dawn sun woke everyone up. After breakfast, the team set out to return to the city. Luo Ren didn't want to stay in this ghost place for a moment longer. Who knows if there will be any hidden dangers. Many armored vehicles and tanks drove away from here, and this world returned to peace. Of course, it was less lively. The north wind whistled past, rolling up the dust on the ground. At this moment, a group of black shadows flew over, and the crow's cries of wah 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 could be heard from afar. Crows surrounded a humanoid creature with black wings on its back, and landed steadily at the place where the armored troops disappeared. The humanoid creature's dark eyes rolled, clenched his fists, and said with anger and hatred, "Damn Zaya people, Brother Merutani, you will not die in vain. After I go back, I will report to Commander Sun Kao. We will never give up." The return to the city was much smoother than the way there. There were only 2 zombie attacks on the way, and the losses were not great under the resistance of dozens of evolvers. After several hours of journey, they finally arrived at the gate of Chiang City. The soldiers on the city were very excited to see the return of their superiors. They immediately raised the gate to let this team of more than 10,000 people go, and only 2,000 people returned to enter the city. After hearing that Luo Ren and Suanmin had returned to the city, Suantong, Liu Liangxin, Liu Yangnian and others rushed to greet them. When they saw that there were only more than 2,000 people left in the returning team, Liu Yangnian's reaction was the most intense. This middle-aged man actually shed tears in front of his daughter. There were 8,000 soldiers, but now there were only about 1,000 of them. Whether it was out of his feelings for the soldiers or other reasons, he felt extremely uncomfortable at this moment. Although Suanmin had told him the worst outcome before. Suantong was also a sentimental person. At that time, there were only a few hundred of the 5,000 guards. Luo Ren did not react much, but her eyes were red. This is a war. There will always be death. Luo Ren came to the front of several people and said, "Death may be lighter than a feather or heavier than Mount Tay. Their lives are not worthless, but they have exchanged for things that allow us who are alive to live better. So, don't be sad. We should live well, and don't let them down." Chapter 343, After returning to the city, Part 2. The first thing Luo Ren did after returning to the city was to settle the soldiers and place the mother's corpse. The only place in Chiang City that was dimly lit all year round was the dungeon, so he decided to place the mother's corpse in the dungeon. Read a light bulb that seemed to have been used for decades emits a dim light like a kerosene lamp. Although there is no smell like dead fish in the dungeon, it is damp, moldy, and some unsteady prisoners are frightened, and some parts are out of control and release some pickled substances, so there is still some urine smell here. Compared to the corpse hall, which was filled with the smell of dead fish, the smell here was not that good. Search TWKAN on Google. Luo Ren held his breath and stared at the tied mummy-like corpse for a while, then turned to look at the 2 guard soldiers behind him and ordered, "There is no need to untie the rope on the corpse for the time being. Once it has eaten enough flesh and blood, it will be in shape. Once it starts to swell, help it untie itself, and it won't be able to escape, even if no one is watching." "Yes," the 2 soldiers responded. These 2 guard soldiers are both evolutionaries, and both are at the peak of level 1. Luo Ren specially sent them to guard the mother's corpse. As for feeding flesh and blood, there are other arrangements. Luo Ren patted the 2 of them on the shoulders, and then walked out of the dungeon. When he walked to the door, he couldn't bear the thought of the unpleasant smell in the dungeon, so he turned back and said, "You 2 don't have to stay in the dungeon. As long as the door is guarded, the mother's corpse will not be able to escape." The 2 soldiers responded loudly, "Sir, don't worry, we will guard the mother's body every step of the way, to prevent it from having the slightest chance of escaping." Luo Ren scratched his head and said, "Okay, as long as you can bear it." After saying that, he rushed out of the dungeon. The smell was so overpowering that he might faint if he stayed there for a moment longer. When Suanmin returned to his residence, he immediately contacted the Grand Military Region via satellite phone and reported all the alien technology he had obtained and Luo Ren's idea of using the alien technology together. Commander Su of the Grand Military Region was reasonable and only thought about it for a while. He agreed. At the same time, Suanmin also reported the casualties. Sun Cakesuan and others who came with him were also reporting. After hearing this, Commander Su on the other end of the phone sighed and said, "There will always be sacrifices in war. Whether it is ordinary soldiers, it's still people in high positions like you and me." After Suanmin was silent for a long time, he solemnly said, "As a member of the Zaya Kingdom and a soldier of the Zaya Kingdom, I will not hesitate to sacrifice my life for the Zaya Kingdom, Commander." Sue on the other end of the phone said HMM. Su Anmin said, by the way, Commander, there is one more thing I need to confirm with you, Commander. Sue asked in confusion, what's the matter, Sue? Anmin pondered for a moment and asked, has our operation been leaked, Commander? Sue asked, why do you ask that, Sue? Anmin immediately revealed what was about to be attacked by Merutani Taishi. Merutani Taishi. Commander Sue fell into deep thought. After a long time, he replied, this operation is led by me. The only people who know about it are me, and the 9 of you, as well as Liu Yangnian. As for Luo Yangnian of Chiang City, benevolence before arriving at the corpse hall, Luo Ren only knew about the female corpse in the corpse hall through me. He knew nothing about alien technology. Moreover, he was in Jiangnan province, and could not have any contact with the Yingzhou people in Yunlong City, thousands of miles away. Besides, he was the one who killed Merutani Taishi. Commander Su said, what you said makes sense. The probability of Luo Ren leaking the news is indeed very small. He seemed to be hindsight, with a hint of surprise in his tone, and asked, according to the news from the Yunlong City stronghold, you said Taishi Merutani is the commander of the 2nd Legion of the Yingzhou Kingdom's Yunlong City stronghold and a level 3 peak evolved human. Luo Ren can actually kill him. Su Anmin said, Commander, your information is out of date. When we met Merutani Taishi, he was already a quasi level 4 evolved human, qualified. Level 4. Commander Su's tone was very surprised, and one could hear disbelief. After a moment of pause, he said, then Luo Ren. Su Anmin said, yes, Luo Ren is indeed a level 4 evolved human. I have seen him take action, and his speed is like a ghost. It is far from what a level 3 peak evolved human can compare to. Even the quasi level 4 Merutani Taishi, even without even grabbing the corner of his clothes, his head was cut off, and his body was dead. Haha. Commander Su on the other end of the phone was silent for a long time, and suddenly laughed. After another long time, the laughter stopped. He sighed. Luo Ren is actually a level 4 evolved human. I don't know if it's my luck. Well, it's still fate. Su Anmin didn't know what Commander Su's words meant, and was about to ask, but Commander Su said first, okay, you and Luo Ren will come back, after discussing the matter of sharing alien technology. By the way, bring back Liu Yangnian. All 8,000 of his troops will be left to you. You can't do much if you stay there. And I heard from some of you that the residents of Chiang City have a good life. Then let's use the city as a civilian stronghold in H City. We can also save a lot of troops. Yes, Commander. Su Anmin responded. Oh. And when you leave Luo Ren one of our satellite phones. Satellite phone. Su Anmin was a little confused about this. Well, don't forget it. After the words fell, a beep beep sound came from the phone, which obviously meant that the other party hung up the phone. Su Anmin shook his head. No matter so much, since the commander asked to keep the satellite phone, there must be a reason. As for the reason, he would not speculate or care. All he had to do was execute it. Looking out the window, people were coming and going. All of them were residents dressed in simple clothes. Being in Chiang City, apart from the modern equipment of the guards, it felt like life in an ancient city, which was quite pleasant. He stretched his body to stretch his muscles, and said to himself, go find Liu Yangnian, and ask him to find someone to send a message to Luo Ren. Mobile. Base point. Luo Ren wolfed down a table of delicious dishes, and said vaguely while eating, self-eating military food is fresh after eating it once or twice, but it's greasy after eating too much. It's still better to eat it freshly made. Su Antong held her chin with her hand, with a smile on her face, and looked at Luo Ren's appearance while eating. Suddenly, Luo Ren stopped wolfing down, chewed carefully, and then pointed to a plate of shredded potatoes. Su Antong saw this, and her smile disappeared. She asked nervously, what's wrong? Is it not delicious? Luo Ren said, did you forget to add salt to this dish? It's a little too bland. Bland? Su Antong's eyes rolled and she remembered. She immediately explained, it's like this. I found a new recipe book. The seasonings are marked very carefully. It's not the right amount. This green pepper and potato shreds are marked with 1 spoon of salt. No wonder. Luo Ren suddenly realized and said, I'm used to eating the previous dishes. I'd better not follow that recipe in the future. After that, he continued to eat voraciously. Yeah. Suan Tong nodded obediently, then held her chin with both hands, and a beautiful smile climbed onto her delicate face again, and she looked at Luo Ren quietly. Report to the commander. Liu Liangxin greets you. Suddenly, the sentry at the door shouted. Luo Ren immediately stopped what he was doing with his hands and mouth, wiped his mouth with a tissue, and then ordered, let her in. Yes, come in. As soon as the sentry finished speaking, footsteps sounded, and then Liu Liangxin walked in. Luo Ren smiled and said, sit anywhere. Suan Tong was very curious, so she came up and asked, Liangxin, what are you doing here? Liu Liangxin smiled and replied, my father asked me to come here. Deputy Commander Su has contacted the military region and reported the matter of sharing alien technology to Commander Su of the military region. Commander Su has agreed. Oh. Luo Ren was surprised and said, has it agreed? Liu Liangxin bowed her head and said, that's right. So my father asked me to come here and tell Brother Ren. Also, Deputy Commander Su said that Commander Su agreed to share alien technology but did not give a clear sharing plan. Therefore, how to share 3 alien technologies requires you to discuss it with him face to face. I understand. Luo Ren pondered for a moment and said, then, we just returned to the city today and everyone is very tired. Let's rest first and discuss it tomorrow. Well, Liu Liangxin nodded slightly and said, I will transfer all. After a moment of silence, she continued to ask, Brother Ren, I heard from my father that you are already a level 4 evolver? Suan Tong exclaimed, level 4 evolver? Is it true? Seeing the expressions of the two women, Luo Ren smiled and said without hiding, yes, I'm indeed a level 4 evolver. Getting the exact answer, the two women were even more surprised. Suan Tong hurriedly asked, Brother Ren, when did you break through to the level 4 evolver? Why don't I have any impression of it? Could it be that you broke through outside before? Luo Ren nodded and said seriously, yes, it was a breakthrough outside. At that time, I was traveling through the deep mountains and old forests, and then I was suddenly chased by evolved animals and fell off the cliff. I didn't expect that there was a cave under this cliff, and then it sounded novel at the beginning, but the more I read, the more I felt that Luo Ren was talking nonsense. Falling off a cliff to get a treasure, isn't this the routine of many martial arts novels and fantasy novels? Suan Tong and Liu Liangxin only then heard that Luo Ren was joking with them. Seeing the two girls' resentful eyes, Luo Ren smiled and waved his hand, saying, okay, I won't tease you anymore. Speaking of breaking through the 4th level evolver, it all started from that day. Today, the zombie virus in his body has been completely eliminated, and there is no need to continue to hide the matter of the dragon crystal from Suan Tong and Liu Liangxin, so he told them all about being injured by zombies and looking for the dragon crystal. Suan Tong and Liu Liangxin were worried when they heard that Luo Ren was infected with the zombie virus. It was not until they heard that Luo Ren had successfully eliminated the zombie virus that they relaxed their brows and breathed a sigh of relief. Suan Tong said, so, Brother Ren, you have been away for nearly a month, not to investigate the situation in the surrounding cities, but to find the dragon crystal. Liu Liangxin said, it's really worrying to encounter such a dangerous situation. Brother Ren, you can't hide it from me and Antang in the future, so that we can share some of the burden and find a solution together. Pooh. Suan Tong said, Liangxin, what you said is wrong. It's okay for such a thing to happen once. How can it happen again? Liu Liangxin immediately covered her red lips and said, I spoke out of turn. Hearing what the two girls said, Luo Ren felt very warm in his heart. He smiled and interrupted, it's okay, come and eat together. Chapter 344 Shared Discussion. Time flies like an arrow, and time flows like water. Read the next day came in a blink of an eye. Luo Ren went to the research institute without breakfast and asked Yanling if there was a machine that could generate fusion genes. Yanling was surprised to hear this and asked, how did you know about fusion genes? Although fusion genes can enhance combat effectiveness, they are not good things in general. Luo Ren first told Yanling about the alien technology he had obtained, the fusion gene extraction device, and then he was very curious about Yanling's last sentence and asked, "Why are fusion genes not good things?" Yanling explained, "What you don't know, fusion genes can indeed allow humans to have the genetic skills of other creatures, but they will also make pure human genes mottled. In the process of life evolution, creatures with mottled genes are very likely to evolution failed." Evolution failed? Luo Ren was surprised and asked hurriedly, "When you say evolution failed, do you mean natural evolution or evolution using life energy?" Yan Ling said, "Both. Genetically variegated creatures will hardly leave offspring in the process of natural evolution because of gene rejection. If the mother is not a genetically variegated creature, but a native with pure genes, then after the combination, the pregnancy will produce a strong gene rejection reaction, and there is a 90% chance that there will be 2 deaths in one body point. And what if the mother is a genetically variegated creature? In this case, the probability of conception will be much lower than that of normal creatures, which fearing that the offspring will have physical characteristics different from those of the same species, the offspring will have physical characteristics different from those of the same species in the face of such alien species. If the same species has formed a highly civilized society, it can be spared. If it was not wise in ancient times, it is very likely to be killed as a monster and die young point. Even if the offspring survive and grow up in a highly civilized society, it is difficult to find the opposite sex of the same species to mate and give birth to offspring. Even if the opposite sex is found, the above mentioned extremely high probability of genetic rejection and extremely low probability of conception are the same. The result can be imagined. There is an ancient rumor that cows give birth to unicorns and pigs give birth to elephants. However, in folk legends, the mother usually dies first, leaving aside only then did they find the killin and the elephant children who had died in the womb. Of course, there were also natural births, but they died soon after. After a pause, Yanling continued, "As for the use of life energy to achieve leapfrog evolution, this is easier to explain. The success rate of pure genetic creatures evolving from their own level to a higher level is as high as 90%. Then the success rate of evolution of genetically mottled creatures is only 15%. And the higher the evolution level, the lower the success rate." That's right. No wonder I have seen so few level 3 mutant zombies. Luo Ren nodded and muttered to himself. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Yanling denied it, saying, "No, mutant zombies are not genetically mottled." After a pause, he explained, "Mutated zombies are when they break through from the peak of level 1 to level 2 and devour the flesh and blood and evolution crystals of evolved animals, thus fusing the genes of evolved animals. This is a natural gene fusion point, but zombies are different from other species. Before level 2, they are dead things with no signs of life. Their original human genes are also in a semi-dead state. At this time, the fusion of genes from other organisms is a perfect fusion with their semi-dead human genes, forming new genes. This can be called a new species, not genetically mottled." Luo Ren has learned a lot. It is true that only by doing a job can you know the depth of it. As a non-professional, facing this highly professional industry, he should listen more, ask more questions, and be less self-righteous. Clearing his throat, he asked, "Oh, so that's how it is. Do you have anything like the fusion gene extraction device here?" "Yes," Yanling responded, and then walked into the storage room. After a while of rustling, he came out holding an iron gray cube with a length and width of 30 centimeters. Luo Ren secretly complained, "System, our technology style is really unified, either a cube or a cuboid. This is made using nanotechnology for convenience and speed." Luo Ren shrugged and stopped complaining. After ordering Yanling to demonstrate and explain, he already had a clear understanding of the use and operation of this microfusion gene generator. Then he asked if the institute had any design and manufacturing drawings of star armor, and Yanling gave a decisive answer. The institute does not produce weapons, so no. Before leaving, Luo Ren remembered something and asked hurriedly, "Can you do research? I'll give you a detailed description of armor production. Can you research and manufacture real armor?" Yanling said, as long as the material conditions are met, no problem, but it will take time. It's okay as long as you can do research. Luo Ren nodded with satisfaction and immediately opened the production panel of the institute and directly pulled up the researchers. It takes 4 hours to produce 4 researchers. Luo Ren let it produce like this, and he drove away from the military zone point. While the car was driving, the communicator on the platform suddenly vibrated and rang. After the call was connected, Liu Liangxin's voice came from it. Brother Ren, where are you? Deputy Commander Su of the military region has arrived in the conference room and is waiting for you to discuss the sharing of alien technology. Luo Ren said, I just dealt with some things, and I'm on the way now. I will be there soon. Okay. The other party responded and hung up the call. Luo Ren put down the communicator, stepped on the accelerator, and headed straight for the conference building. Conference room. Su Anmin, Liu Yangnian and others were drinking tea when suddenly there was a click sound. Everyone looked at the door at the same time, only to see the door being pushed open and Luo Ren walked in. He said apologetically, sorry everyone, I just dealt with some things. Long wait. Su Anmin stood up and said with a smile, it doesn't matter. In such a big Chiang city, there are definitely more things to do. Luo Ren came to the seat reserved for him, nodded to Su Anmin, then sat down, went straight to the point without talking nonsense, and said, since we are discussing how to share alien technology, let's ask team leader Su first. Give me your thoughts, Su. Anmin smiled and nodded, and said, my plan is this. Our military has provided intelligence and strength. You have provided troops and ammunition. It can be said that our contribution is almost equal. Therefore, this sharing does not mean deliberately favoring which side. It can only be said to be fair. Sir Luo, please choose one of the evolutionary crystal tempering device and the fusion gene extraction device to stay in Chiang City. We will take the rest back. If you need to use it, you need to provide the raw materials yourself. As for the star armor production drawings. He suddenly shut up, pondered for a moment, and then continued, with all due respect, although Chiang City is large and has strong military strength, it seems to be lacking in industrial manufacturing. Even if there are production drawings, I'm afraid it will be difficult to produce the star armor. Therefore, I think this drawing is more suitable for our military to study. After we set up a production line, if the guards need it, Commander Luo, you can provide raw materials and produce it through our military's production line. What do you think? Su Anmin expressed it euphemistically. What does it mean to lack a lot? In fact, except for 2 almost semi-abandoned bullet production lines, Chiang City can be said to have no industrial foundation. If you want to set up a star armor production line, just from building basic industries from scratch, takes a huge amount of time. It was also from this moment that Luo Ren realized that he had neglected basic industries too much in the past. He couldn't help but look out the window and saw the residents walking back and forth on the street, and he was suddenly in a trance. System buildings can produce weapons and equipment, fuels such as gasoline and diesel, as well as magical machines such as life energy extractors. However, there are no industrial products that can be used to improve residents' productivity. So far, we can only pick up the remaining industrial products from the outside world that are still usable. However, these industrial products will always break down. If there is no production capacity, then in the end, the production methods of Chiang City residents may regress to ancient times. In this case, a decline in productivity is inevitable. From this point of view, building basic industry is the top priority. He withdrew his gaze, looked at Su Anmin, nodded slightly, and said, you are right. Chiang City's industrial base is indeed not up to standard. Hearing this, Su Anmin said in surprise, Sir Luo, did you agree? Luo Ren nodded and said, of course I agree. Not only do I agree, we won't keep the other 2 pieces of equipment. You can just take them back. If necessary, I will send someone to visit with the raw materials. Su Anmin couldn't believe it and said in surprise, is this true? Luo Ren said, it's absolutely true. Judging from his tone and demeanor, he doesn't seem to be lying. Does he really believe that we won't steal 2 pieces of equipment? Alien technology is extremely precious, but Luo Ren would give up his ownership rights so lightly. Everyone, let alone Su and Min, would be confused. Luo Ren saw it and explained, although Chiang City's defense is reasonable, it is still not as good as the military. These two alien technologies are extremely precious and should be placed in a safer place. Besides, I believe that the military's credibility will prevent me from being turned away when I need to use alien technology. Su and Min was moved in his heart. Luo Ren actually believed in their military. After being silent for a long time, he suddenly stood up, saluted, and said seriously, "Thanks for your trust, sir. Don't worry. If Chiang City needs to use foreign equipment, star technology, just come to the Jiangnan provincial capital stronghold and make sure no one will stop you." Luo Ren smiled and said, with these words from team leader Su, "I feel relieved." After pondering for a moment, he added, "By the way, I still have the mother's corpse in the dungeon. It would be troublesome to transport it. I don't think we should touch it. Let it be kept in captivity in Chiang City. The evolution crystals of R64 cents is enough. As for this cost of flesh and blood." At this point, he frowned and looked embarrassed. Su and Min said directly, "In terms of flesh and blood, not to mention June 4th, we each contribute half. You keep this flesh and blood first. We will conduct a liquidation every 3 months. What do you think?" Luo Ren accepted it happily and said, "Okay, that's it." After a pause, he added, "One more thing, you will definitely need scientists to study the star armor. I happen to have a few talents in this field here who can be dispatched. How about assisting your military experts in researching the star armor?" Su and Min touched his chin, thought for a while, then slapped the table and said, "No problem. Thank you very much. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 345 New Policies, New Plans. Both parties knew the content well, and their opinions were almost unanimous, so the discussion ended quickly and smoothly. The Zaire army represented by Su and Min was greatly surprised. On the surface, they got a huge advantage, which directly led to Luo Ren having a better impression in the hearts of Su and Min, and others. After sending Su and Min and others away, only Luo Ren and Liu Liangxin were left in the conference room. Liu Liangxin had learned about the importance of alien technology from her father before, so she didn't understand why Luo Ren took the initiative to overturn a plan that was more beneficial to her, thereby giving up ownership of an alien technology. Feeling Liu Liangxin's doubtful gaze, Luo Ren looked at Liu Liangxin and said with a smile, "Do you think what I did is stupid?" Although she felt that it was inappropriate to do so, Liu Liangxin still shook her head and said, "Brother Ren, since you did this, you must have your own considerations." Luo Ren walked to the window, looked through the glass window, and saw Su and Min and the others getting into the car below. Under his gaze, Su and Min suddenly looked over, with a smile on his face, and waved to him. He smiled and nodded. After watching the two cars leave, Luo Ren said, "To be honest, I don't like those two alien technologies, but the star armor makes me excited. Unfortunately, as mentioned in the meeting just now, our industrial base in Chiang City is too poor. Even if we have detailed drawings, the time it takes to produce the star armor can no longer be calculated in months, but in years. Therefore, it is better to sell a favor and give the ownership of the blueprints and equipment to the military." Besides, Su and Min also said that after the production line is completed, we only need to provide the raw materials ourselves to use their production line to produce the star armor. After pausing for a moment, he looked back at Liu Liangxin, moved his lips, and said, "The credibility of the Zaire Kingdom's military should be trustworthy." Liu Liangxin didn't know how to answer, so she just nodded and said in agreement, "The credibility of the military should be fine." After all matters in Chiang City were settled, Su and Min and his companions, taking Liu Yangnian, 3 researchers and 2 pieces of alien technology, immediately set off back to the provincial capital base of the Jiangnan military region. As for the remaining 1,000 troops under Liu Yangnian, except for the evolved ones, they all stayed in Chiang City. They were not stationed in Chiang City as an army of the Xia Kingdom. Luo Ren would not allow it. Instead, they were disarmed and left alone. Just like ordinary, these more than 1,000 people were professional soldiers with extremely rich residence combat experience. Luo Ren would not let them become ordinary residents, so he quietly said to Su and Ang, observe them for a while first. If these people are not in danger, they can be removed. Recruit the Xianxing army. Su and Tang nodded and said, okay, let me handle this matter. Unconsciously, the north wind blew more frequently, and the leaves on the branches began to show signs of withering and yellowing. Sure enough, 2 months passed with a snap of the fingers during this period. Liu Liangxin, Luo Shan, Luo Hei, Luo Ji, Luo Li, and Hao Yuan successfully advanced to level 3 through the life energy extracted from the 4 level 3 evolution crystals obtained by Luo Ren from the main city point at this point, including Su and Tong. There are 7 level 3 evolvers in Chiang City Point, such a long-term battle to defend. The city not only consumed ammunition, but also obtained a huge amount of evolutionary crystals, which raised the overall strength of the escort army to a higher level. Counting the level 2 evolver escort soldiers who returned from the main city, at the moment in the guard army, there are 11 level 2 peak evolvers, 19 level 2 intermediate evolvers, and 33 level 2 elementary evolvers. As for level 1 evolvers, there are more than 300 people point in addition to the improvement in military strength. There are also many fewer zombies in the city siege. After all, in 2 months, not 1 million zombies were killed in the city defense battle, but 3 to 5 million. As a result, the density of zombies in this vast suburb has dropped a lot. Today, the resident hunting team has reopened. In addition to these, Luo Ren also announced some new regulations and construction plans. Among the rules and regulations, the relaxation of the authority of the resident hunting team has caused the most sensation. From being able to exchange only light weapons, to now they can exchange for anti-machine sniper rifles and heavy machine guns, 2 relatively heavy firepower weapons. The former can be exchanged for meat. 100 kilograms of meat can be exchanged for 1 piece. Each hunting team can exchange up to 3 pieces. After it is damaged, it can continue to be exchanged. After 3 pieces, it needs evolution crystals to exchange. 10 level 1 evolution crystals can be exchanged for 1 piece. The latter requires evolution crystals to be redeemed from the beginning. 15 level 1 evolution crystals or 1 level 2 evolution crystal can be exchanged for 1 heavy machine gun, and each hunting team can exchange for 2. After the same is damaged, you can continue exchange point. As for ammunition, the price is calculated separately. Point also, the announcement of the effectiveness of the evolutionary crystal did not actually cause a sensation among the residents. It has been so long, and the matter of the evolutionary crystal has long been spread among the residents. Moreover, some members of the hunting team have begun to secretly take evolutionary crystals, so this is not a shocking secret. However, the previous one did not cause a stir, but the next announcement related to it stirred up huge waves. Luo Ren personally announced that the hunting team could use the evolutionary crystals openly. As soon as this regulation came out, the number of hunting teams in the city skyrocketed. Fortunately, Luo Ren issued a restriction order in time. The number of registered hunting teams should not exceed 100, and the number of each hunting team should not exceed 15 people. This suppressed the people's enthusiasm for forming a hunting team. In addition to the above, Luo Ren also issued an order to encourage childbirth. If a child is born, a food subsidy for 1 person will be given. It will not be reduced to a school lunch and dinner subsidy until the child reaches school age. Point at the same time, women do not need to work for 10 days before giving birth and 25 days after giving birth, and food coupons will be issued. Point you must know that a child's appetite is far less than that of an adult. The child can only consume 1/3 of the subsidy for 1 person. If the appetite is large, it can only consume half of it at most, and the rest can be shared by the whole family. Moreover, in Chiang City, unlike in the past, the population is the labor force, and the labor force is the food coupon. Therefore, before this policy was issued, some families have begun to vigorously make babies. To date, a group of children have been born. For children born before these policies, Luo Ren also treats them equally and applies the current subsidy policy. It is a pity that women who gave birth 1 or 2 months earlier cannot enjoy the benefit of 35 days of free labor and can only strive for the next time point. The purpose of implementing this policy is very simple, which is to increase the population. Although each population increase takes 10 months, the number of newborns each time is huge. In addition, there are some other things, which I will not describe in detail. Then there is the construction plan, which is much simpler. Apart from urban planning, this has already been handled by construction experts, so there is no need to say more. The construction plan determined this time is industrial infrastructure construction. Industry can improve productivity, and this must not be ignored any longer. Chapter 346 Ying's House Assassin, Part 1. In the blink of an eye, more than a month has passed. Read Newtown, hospital construction site. In a few months, the hospital building has been basically completed, and most of it has been put into use. There are still dozens of workers doing the finishing work. It was noon at this time. The workers were all having lunch, and the doctors and nurses had also started to change shifts to have lunch. Therefore, the current hospital cafeteria is full of people and very noisy, just like a busy village market. At a dinner table, 2 men sat opposite each other. One had a long face and short hair, the other had a round face and long hair. The two of them chatted while eating. The long-faced man looked left and right, and suddenly he fixed his gaze. Where he looked, he saw 3 people sitting around a table. All 3 of them had short, flat faces and looked stern. They didn't chat, they just put food into their mouths. Judging from the way they chewed, it seemed that they were not very satisfied with the food in the hospital cafeteria. The long-faced man withdrew his gaze, leaned forward, winked at the round-faced man, and said, "Hey, little fat guy, look over there." After seeing the round-faced man cast his gaze and then retracting his gaze, the long-faced man continued, "It's not that I like talking about others behind their backs. Those 3 people are so weird. Whether they are working or resting, they don't say a word. It's like a stuffy oil bottle. Brotherly, you are right. When I was working just now, I asked the man with a grimace to help pass some things. My voice turned an octave, and he didn't even raise his eyes to look at me. If he hadn't asked me to eat, when I saw him reacting the fastest, I thought he was deaf." The round-faced man also moved forward and kept his voice low, probably because he was afraid of being heard. Besides, "Oh, stop talking." The round-faced man was still unfinished and wanted to continue, but the long-faced man interrupted him. He couldn't help but asked in confusion, "How?" Before he said the word "Len," a startled exclamation came from behind him, and the face of the long-faced man in front of him was full of excitement. He couldn't help but look back, and his eyes widened immediately, filled with excitement. "It's Sir." Luo Ren walked into the canteen surrounded by a group of people. Everyone in the canteen was so surprised that they were so excited that they forgot to eat. A person rushed out from the crowd surrounding Luo Ren. This person raised his hands and pressed down, saying loudly, "Don't get excited, everyone, because our hospital will be completed soon, so the Sir came to inspect it in advance. Come, let's let the Sir say a few words." Luo Ren was stunned for a moment when he heard that he was asked to say a few words. He just came to take a look, but there were not always beautiful words in his stomach that could make people cry. Clearing his throat, he said under the gaze of everyone, "Well, I just came to see everyone eat well, drink well, and be in good health." Although the words were simple and even perfunctory, people in the cafeteria were still very excited after hearing this. Some people even shed hot tears and sobbed to themselves, "Sir, you are really good. Despite your busy schedule, you still care about my health." Luo Ren has seen this kind of scene so many times that he has become accustomed to it. He smiled and said, "Everyone, please eat well, and don't pay attention to me." After he finished speaking, he still had a smile on his face. Suddenly his eyes moved, and he looked at the crowd. He saw a person staring at him. This person had a short, flat face and was unsmiling. The moment he met his eyes, this person he immediately withdrew his gaze and evaded his eyes. Maybe he feels inferior to my handsomeness. With this in mind, he didn't think too much and didn't care whether these people had a good meal or not. Surrounded by many people, He looked around the canteen. What decorations, dishes, etc. Being a leader is a manual job, and you have to inspect everywhere all day long. After wandering around casually, he left the canteen surrounded by everyone. After he stepped out of the cafeteria door, the long-faced man kept looking around. He looked back for a long time and subconsciously looked at the 3 people with short flat faces. He happened to see the 3 people looking at each other and nodding. He scratched his head and whispered, "What 3 weirdos? They just eat when they eat, and they still move their necks." 3 days later, at night, there was a bright moon in the sky and stars twinkling. Looking up, you could see the gorgeous stars. Alien technology. I don't know if there are aliens looking at me at this moment. Luo Ren whispered secretly, then shook his head and laughed at himself. Even if there are aliens, they are still monitoring the life of the earth. Dong Xiang, how could you only patronize me? At this moment, a gust of north wind came, making it a little more desolate. Suddenly, footsteps came from behind. I couldn't help but look back and saw Liu Liangxin approaching. There was a smile on her face and tenderness in her eyes. Different from the past, her whole person was a little more charming. Luo Ren turned to face her and said with a smile, "It's so late, and you still haven't rested. You haven't had any rest either." Liu Liangxin's tone and demeanor were much more charming than before. She quickened her pace and walked in front of Luo Ren. Her eyes locked on Luo Ren's face. After staring for a long time, she spoke again, spitting out blossoming orchids, and said in a very soft voice, "Brother Ren, you know, I really want to give myself to you." She took a step forward, hugged Luo Ren, and buried her head in Luo Ren's arms. Feeling warm in his arms, Luo Ren smiled softly and raised his hand to gently stroke Liu Liangxin's hair. Unexpectedly, Liu Liangxin's eyes suddenly flashed with cold light in her arms. She let go of Luo Ren. Her face left Luo Ren's chest, and with a smile on her face, she said softly, "Brother Ren, go to hell." Her voice suddenly became rough and wild. It was not Liu Liangxin's voice at all. The smile on her face instantly solidified and turned into a cold chill. The smile on her face instantly solidified and turned into a cold chill. Tenderness in her eyes had long since disappeared. What was left was only full of murderous intent. All he saw was him. He put his right hands together to make a palm knife and stabbed Luo Ren's chest hard. HMPH. Luo Ren snorted coldly. He was already on guard. The palm that was stroking his hair directly clasped the back of the neck of the person in front of him. He exerted force with his 5 fingers and suddenly squeezed the neck. That was like mutton fat. White jade. Liu Liangxin's palm knife frozen midway. Her eyes widened. Her mouth enlarged, looking very painful. At the same time, her face lit up with intermittent electromagnetic light. After a while, the light dimmed, but her appearance changed. This is still Liu Liangxin. He is clearly a man whose face is covered by a flesh-colored mask. "Who are you?" Luo Ren's eyes shot out 2 cold gleams, and his words contained piercing murderous intent. He reached out and took off the flesh-colored mask on the man's head, revealing a short and flat face. He was not surprised at all, but said calmly, "I saw you in the hospital cafeteria." The man said harshly, "Kill me if you dare." Luo Ren said, "If I guess correctly, you are from Yingzhou. So what if it is? So what if it's not? I admit that I fell into your hands today. You should take my life quickly." The man's mouth was very hard and his tone was very fierce. Chapter 347 Yingzhou Assassin, Part 2. Luo Ren was calm and unaffected by him, and continued to ask, "Where are your 2 accomplices?" "I have no accomplices." The man was still stubborn. "There are no accomplices." Luo Ren stared into the man's eyes, raised the corner of his mouth and said coldly, "Then you can go and die." As soon as he finished speaking, his 5 fingers suddenly exerted force, and with a click, he pinched the man's neck, and the life in the man's eyes quickly disappeared. Swish. At the same time, hearing the sound of the wind, Luo Ren sneered, and let go of the man. The next moment, 2 Yingzhou samurai swords struck him from behind. The 2 people who drew the sword were dressed in night clothes and had short, flat faces. Their eyes were full of horror, because there was no feeling of being hit, and there was no blood splashing. Luo Ren's figure disappeared before their eyes. "No, he is not a level 3 awakener," one person said in horror. Another person said, Eugen, leave quickly, return to the camp, and report the news that the Lord of Chiang City is not a level 3 awakened person to the commander of the Gyeonangsu army. Do you think you can run away? Luo Ren suddenly appeared in front of the two Yingzhou assassins. His tone was cold to the bone and full of murderous intent. Run. Eugen, I'll hold him back. The Yingzhou the assassin pushed his companion and then rushed over fearlessly with his long sword raised. Level 3 peak, your speed is too slow. As soon as he finished speaking, Luo Ren stepped out and passed by the Yingzhou assassin. The Yingzhou assassin's movement suddenly froze, and he fell to the ground with a pop, and a pool of bright red blood flowed from his chest. Turning his head and looking towards the east, that was the direction in which the Yingzhou assassin named Eugen was escaping. Without saying a word, he stepped out and disappeared from the spot. Eugen Dacheng took 3 steps and turned back. After running for a long time, he stopped and saw the huge city with lights behind him. His eyes were full of hatred, and his fists clenched loudly. He said in a deep voice, the intelligence was wrong. Suan Men was not an awakened person above level 3, but the Lord of Chiang City was. From this point of view, Captain Merutani was killed by the Lord of Chiang City. Rincon, Santo, I will definitely avenge you. Lord Chiang, just wait for me. I'm waiting. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded behind him, and Eugen Dacheng was stunned for a moment, with cold sweat breaking out all over his body. Tell me, who are you? Why do you want to kill me? Luo Ren guessed that the 3 Yingzhou assassins should all be members of the Yingzhou military, because he only had issues with the Yingzhou military. HMPH. Lord of Chiang City, don't be complacent. Our Yingzhou kingdom has strong soldiers and horses. We Yingzhou people are the chosen people of the gods. In time, we will occupy the entire land of China and even the entire world. I advise you to surrender to our Yingzhou kingdom now and become the chosen one of the god clan, so as not to suffer death in the future. Eugen Dacheng didn't answer the question and said some random things, which made Luo Ren very impatient. Even so, he could still confirm from this speech that Eugen Dacheng was definitely a member of the Yingzhou kingdom's military. As for the electors of the gods, could it be that they have inherited the Xia kingdom's feudal superstitions? Or maybe it's to give yourself a reason to cheer up. After all, some religious countries will use the name of God when they launch aggression without any reason. Regarding these, Luo Ren did not pay too much attention or guess. He then asked, apart from the 3 of you, is there anyone else planted here by the Yingzhou state military? Eugen Dacheng's breath was stagnant. Listening to Luo Ren's words at this time, he was obviously not shocked by his words. A cold light flashed in his eyes, but his tone was very calm, and he said, in addition to us, there are. Clang. He suddenly drew his sword and turned around to slash. Under the moonlit night, the silver sword light came quickly. Luo Ren sneered. In his opinion, this fatal sword was too slow and not powerful enough. He directly grabbed the incoming blade with one hand, making the long sword move an inch. Difficult to enter. The other party's performance has already revealed his inner thoughts. If he asks again, he can't get anything out. Luo Ren said coldly, since you want to die, then I will help you. He drew his left hand back, grabbed the opponent's long knife, and then kicked the opponent away. Then he threw the long knife in his hand, like a silver lightning, shot into Eugen Dacheng's chest, splashing a flower of blood. The long knife fixed the feather root to the ground and penetrated his heart. He could feel his life passing quickly. After a while, the bright moon and stars in the sky became blurred and soon died out. Luo Ren stepped forward, held the handle of the sword, and pulled out the long sword with a squeak sound. This Yingzhou samurai sword can penetrate level 3 evolvers without being damaged. It is a good sword. Previously, the main city of Merutani. The same is true for Daz his sword. I don't know how these Yingzhou people forged such a sword. His eyes moved down, and he saw Eugen Dacheng's corpse. Luo Ren thought to himself, level 3 evolver. If I feed his corpse to the mother's corpse, will it be able to absorb a lot of flesh and blood? After thinking for a long time, he grabbed the corpse's ankle and walked slowly and leisurely towards the opposite city. Feeding corpses to zombies may be cruel or inhumane, but what time has it been? And there are many cruel things. and the so-called humanity, at least in Luo Ren's mind, is that humanity should be given to oneself, and those who deserve it point besides, it's just a corpse and a few kilograms of rotten meat. Burning it would be a waste of firewood. It's better to feed the mother's corpse, which is considered waste utilization. At this moment, the lights in Xi'an City were brightly lit, and soldiers were patrolling and searching everywhere. Suan Tong, Liu Liangxin, Luo Shan, Luo He and others were all extremely anxious. There were two bodies lying on the ground in front of them. One was dressed in black night clothes and had a hole in his chest. The other was also a man, but he was wearing women's clothes. There were no obvious wounds on his body, only 5 blue marks on the back of his neck. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that he had his neck broken. Suan Tong paced back and forth and saw a soldier running over and hurriedly asked, "Have you found the commander?" "No," the soldier replied. Suan Tong was even more anxious, looking at the others, sighed, and said, "Where did Brother Ren run to at this time?" "And Tong, don't worry, Brother Ren is much better than us. He must be fine." Liangxin comforted, but Suan Tong still had an anxious expression, and at this moment, a ding-ling-ling sound rang out. The eyes of several people on the field fell on Luo Shan at the same time, which was the sound of the communicator on his waist. Under everyone's gaze, Luo Shan took out the communicator, answered it, and said, "Hello, this is Luo Shan." As soon as he finished speaking, an excited voice came out of the communicator. "Report, the commander has returned from the East City Gate." Luo Shan was slightly stunned, and then his anxiety disappeared completely, and a smile appeared on his face. In the puzzled eyes of everyone, he put down the communicator and smiled. "The commander is fine, just entered the East City Gate." Suan Tong and others were very surprised after hearing this, and after confirming it again and again, they rushed to the East City. Chapter 348 Silicon-Based Life. Suan Tong and others rushed to Dongcheng quickly. Little did they know that Luo Ren was waiting for them in Dongcheng. When they saw that Luo Ren was unharmed, they were relieved. Suan Tong saw a corpse lying not far from Luo Ren, also wearing night clothes, and asked curiously, "Brother Ren, we just found 2 corpses in an undeveloped area in Nancheng. Why do you have a corpse here?" Luo Ren smiled and said, "The 3 corpses were all made by me. They were assassins from Yingzhou Kingdom. They wanted to assassinate me, but they misjudged my strength and were killed by me instead." "The assassins of Yingzhou Kingdom," Suan Tong repeated, and then said, "These thieves are so ignorant that they even sent assassins here." She analyzed, "It is impossible for Yingzhou Kingdom to send only 3 assassins. In my opinion, there are probably other assassins or undercover agents from Yingzhou Kingdom in the city at the moment. They should be investigated thoroughly." Luo Ren nodded and said, "We need to investigate, but there is no need to make such a big fuss. Let the special forces handle this matter." Looking at Luo Shan, he said, "Luo Shan, you can make arrangements later." After giving the instructions, he was silent for a while, glanced at the people in front of him, and asked, "And Tong, Lianxin, Luo Shan, and Luo He, are you all at the peak of level 3 now?" The 4 of them nodded at the same time point. After getting the answer, Luo Ren lowered his eyes and thought to himself, "Miruya Taishi is accurate to level 4. The Ant Warrior is slightly weaker at level 3 peak. The Bat Warrior is as fast as level 3 peak, and these 3 are all level 3 peak evolvers. The strength of this Yingzhou country cannot be underestimated." He rubbed his chin and thought, the so-called Ant Warriors and Bat Warriors should be the products of genetic fusion. Although this genetic fusion has great disadvantages, it can indeed quickly improve individual strength. His eyes looked at Luo Shan, Luo He, and Luo Ji, then at Suan Tong and Liu Liangxin, and finally his eyes fell on the ordinary guard soldiers next to them. After thinking for a long time, he rubbed his brows and shook his head. He finally gave up the idea of using fusion genes to enhance the combat effectiveness of the guards. Now that the number of civilian hunting teams has increased greatly, and after the restriction on the use of evolutionary crystals and the release of weapon permissions, the combat capabilities of each hunting team have been greatly enhanced, and the number of prey brought back from daily outings has increased more than 10 times than before. Point taxation, plus the hunting team's use of flesh and evolution crystals to exchange for firearms and ammunition. It can be said that the flesh of the captive female corpses is completely enough, and about 50 or 60 zombies can be produced every month. The evolutionary crystals produced by these 50 zombies are only 1/5 of the evolutionary crystals obtained by the hunting team from turning in and exchanging firearms. From this point of view, instead of using fusion genes to ruin the future of evolution, it is better to honestly use evolutionary crystals to evolve the entire army. After deducting 40% of the monthly mother corpse allocated to the military, and then adding in the level 1 evolutionary crystals obtained by the civilian hunting team, there are almost 300 crystals for the guards to go out to search and hunt. The number is almost 200 per month, for a total of 500s. If you want all 10,000 guards to become level 1 peak evolvers, you need 70,000 level 1 evolution crystals. After coming up with such an answer, Luo Ren smiled bitterly and said, 70,000. At the current rate, it will take 14 months. He shook his head, sighed in his heart, and said to himself, let's find a way to increase the population quickly. Although encouraging fertility is a very good method, it still takes at least 10 months to achieve a population increase. For him, no, it should be that it is too slow for the evolution speed of zombies. Seeing Luo Ren smile bitterly and shake his head, Suan Tong was very confused and asked, Brother Ren, what's wrong with you? Luo Ren raised his head, waved his hands, and said, I'm fine. Then he ordered, Luo, you guys, throw this corpse and the other 2 corpses to the mother corpse's feed. Yes. When Luoji and Luoli heard that human corpses were to be fed to female corpses, they did not have any bad reactions and responded directly. Suan Tong and Liu Liangxin frowned slightly. Suan Tong said, feeding human corpses to mother corpses, isn't this a bit cruel? Luo Ren said the last 2 words for her, smiled, and said, in the end, human corpses and animal corpses are just piles of meat. The 3 corpses are all level 3 peak evolvers with extremely majestic blood. It would be a pity to burn them down. It would be better to let them make some contribution to Chiang City after death. Hearing this, seeing Luo Ren's indifferent expression, and thinking that the 3 Yingzhou people were assassins who came to assassinate Luo Ren, Suan Tong was relieved. Her brows stretched, and she agreed, that's true. The body after death, whether it is humans or other animals, they are all a pile of meat. Liu Liangxin just thought about it for a while, then relaxed her slightly frowning eyebrows and said, yes, some countries in the world still have the custom of water burial. In fact, they feed the bodies of the dead to fish. And these 3 Yingzhou people feeding the assassin's corpse to the mother's corpse is not much different from feeding the fish. Luo Ren nodded with satisfaction. Those who are close to vermilion are red and those who are close to ink are black. After following him for a long time, the 2 women have been more or less tainted with his own intelligence. It's getting late. Let's go back. Luo Ren said. The 2 women nodded, followed Luo Ren into the car, and then the vehicle started and drove towards the inner city. In the car, Suan Tong looked out the window and saw the bright moon in the sky and suddenly asked, humans and other animals are just piles of meat after death. Are there any creatures that are not made of flesh and blood? Luo Ren heard the question and said, yes, silicon-based life. Silicon-based life. Su and Tong and Liu Liangxin both looked confused, obviously not knowing what silicon-based life was. Luo Ren held the steering wheel and looked forward. The car drove smoothly. Hearing the 2 girls' puzzled voices, he immediately explained, on the blue planet where we are, all creatures here, including us humans, are carbon-based creatures, that is, flesh and blood. Our brains are made up of hundreds of billions of neurons. And there is another kind of life, called silicon-based life. You all know computer chips. The main material for making chips is silicon. Therefore, according to probability, it is possible to naturally form super complex chips. This is the brain of silicon-based life, and then various coincidences, such as hands, feet, and bodies, gave birth to silicon-based life. Su and Tong and Liu Liangxin's eyes were full of stars. Suan Tong said, Brother Ren, you are so amazing. You know all this. Luo Ren scratched his head and laughed. In fact, I just read about it in science fiction novels. The so-called silicon-based life is also the imagination and speculation of the science fiction author. Suan Tong said, although it is a guess, the universe is so big, with billions of light years, countless galaxies and planets, and various environments. Silicon-based life is very likely to exist. Haha. Luo Ren laughed and agreed, no problem. It's hard to say whether there is silicon-based life in such a big universe. Chapter 349 Big Shot. The car stopped in front of the mobile base. Luo Ren and Suan Tong got out of the car and walked straight into the mobile base. Liu Liangxin looked at the backs of the two people with envy in her eyes. She retracted her gaze and drove away from here. Oh, there are not only many things every day, but also assassinations. Entering the mobile base, Luo Ren sat down on the chair. Who told you to be the boss? Suan Tong said, twisting her slender waist, stepping on the steps to the second floor, went to the bedroom to get some clean clothes, and walked towards the bathroom, saying as she walked, my boss, do you want to take a bath together? Yeah. Luo Ren sat up straight like a frightened rabbit. If he had long ears, he would probably stand up. He smiled and said, I'm here, little baby. Just as he was about to get up, the table in front of him suddenly vibrated, buzzing, and a ringing sound came from the drawer. Opening the drawer, I saw a satellite phone screen lit up, and the vibration and ringing were all limited by it. Isn't this the satellite phone Suanmin left for me? Why is it ringing in the middle of the night? Did someone call the wrong number? Yes, it must be a wrong number. Looking upstairs and then at the satellite phone, he kept convincing himself that the other party had called the wrong number, but the constant ringing sound kept telling him, pick it up. What if something good happens? Looking upstairs again, he gritted his teeth and said angrily, hey, there has been no movement for 3 months. Not only is the battery not exhausted, but there is a call in the middle of the night, and it happened to be today. It's really disappointing. Helplessly picked up the satellite phone, put it to his ear after the call was connected, and said, hello, this is Luo Ren. Who is it? Commander Luo, it's me, Suanmin. I haven't seen you for 3 months, but do you still remember me? A familiar voice came from the phone. It was Suanmin calling in the middle of the night. What's wrong? You called me in the middle of the night. Are you going to confess to me? Luo Ren was upset and felt a little angry in his heart. His tone of voice was a little aggressive. Suanmin on the other end of the phone said apologetically, sorry, I didn't think it through enough and disturbed Chief Luo. Forget it. Hearing the other party's sincere apology, Luo Ren's anger subsided a lot and his tone softened a little, saying, tell me, what do you want? Suanmin didn't waste any words, saying, 3 months have passed in the blink of an eye. We agreed that day to settle the blood and flesh of the captive mother corpse and the obtained evolution crystals every 3 months. Do you remember? Luo Ren said, remember, your share of evolution crystals is reserved for you. What's the matter? Are you going to get it yourself, or do you want us to send it over? Suanmin laughed and said, you are joking. Of course we went to Chiang City to get it. How can we let you send it over? You are quite sensible. Luo Ren thought to himself, and then said, if so, when will you come? Suanmin said, you can come tomorrow, so I called you in the middle of the night just to tell you. Luo Ren said, okay, I will prepare the evolution crystal and wait for you to come. After that, he waited for a while. The other party did not speak or hang up. He asked, is there anything else? Suan Tong lowered her voice a lot and said, there is nothing else. I will go to Chiang City tomorrow. There is a big man going with me. You have to be prepared. Big man? Luo Ren was puzzled and asked, is it someone from your military? Anyway, you just need to be prepared. Okay, I'll hang up first. Suanmin hung up the phone. After he finished speaking, Luo Ren took the satellite phone away from his ear, frowned slightly, and said silently, big shot. Who could it be? He rubbed his chin and thought for a while. He didn't know many people in the military, so he didn't have any clues. He shook his head and put these thoughts aside for the time being. He suddenly looked at the second floor, smiled, and then rushed upstairs and went straight to the bathroom. Baby, I am coming. As soon as the voice fell, the bathroom door opened from the inside and Suan Tong came out wiping her hair. Luo Ren suddenly froze in the middle of the road, opened his mouth, and said, "Why did you wash so fast today?" Suan Tong rolled his eyes at Luo Ren and said, "Not fast. I deliberately washed much slower than usual to wait for you. Who knows what you have been doing, and it took you so long to come up." Luo Ren rubbed his nose, looking depressed, and said, "It's all your brother's fault." The next day, noon point, the sky was clear, the sun was very good, and the view was also excellent. Point in Zicheng, Luo Ren looked into the distance and saw 4 Z-10 surrounding a helicopter that was a circle larger than the Z-10 flying towards this side. This helicopter was not as sharp-edged as an armed helicopter, but very handsome. Its belly was wide and broad. If the Z-10 was strong, then this helicopter was a real fat man. Suan Tong obviously knew more than Luo Ren. Seeing the big helicopter, she immediately explained, "That's the Z-8 transport helicopter." Luo Ren suddenly realized and said, "It turned out to be a transport helicopter. I was wondering why it was so big." Luo Ren had already disarmed the anti-aircraft artillery air defense system in advance. The 5 helicopters successfully entered the airspace of Chiang City, then slowly descended and landed smoothly. After the 4 Z-10s landed, there was no response. The hatch of the Z-8 in the middle of them opened, and 3 fierce warriors came down from it, and then 8 soldiers with live ammunition came down. Luo Ren could see that the first 3 were all evolvers, and their levels were not low. Then, Suan Min respectfully led a man off the plane. Judging from his appearance, he was a middle-aged man with an upright posture and handsome appearance. He had a sense of majesty without anger. Suan Tong was surprised when she saw the man's shoulder straps and whispered, "Brother Ren, this man is a lieutenant general. He should be a deputy commander of a major military region." The deputy commander of a major military region is indeed a big shot. Luo Ren whispered to himself and suddenly felt that he was pushed. He looked at Suan Tong, saw her eyes, and immediately reacted and hurriedly led everyone to meet him. He smiled and said, "I'm sorry for not welcoming you from afar. I'm sorry for not welcoming you from afar." Suan Min said, "You're too polite, Chief Luo." He then introduced, "Let me introduce you. This is our Jiangnan Military Region Deputy Commander, General Tao Zhuang." Luo Ren straightened his chest and raised his head, stepped forward, stretched out his hand, and said in a neither humble nor arrogant manner, "Hello, General Tao. Chiang City is not affiliated with the military. It belongs to him alone, so even in front of the commander of a large military region, he will not be servile." Suan Min introduced Tao Zhuang again. "Chief, this is the Lord of Chiang City I told you about, Chief Luo Ren." Tao Zhuang didn't move his body, but moved his eyes, looked Luo Ren up and down, and praised, "You are neither humble nor arrogant. I like you." He stretched out his hand to shake hands with Luo Ren and said, "Hello, my name is Tao Zhuang." Chapter 350, Tao Zhuang's Purpose, Part 1. Luo Ren held Tao Zhuang's hands together and felt that his skin was no different from that of a normal human. Since he was in a high position, the person in front of him must not be an ordinary person, but an evolver. From this, it can be judged that this person's life level will not be lower than level 3. Read. He suddenly smiled and said, "The sun is scorching today. Let's go indoors and talk about anything." Tao Zhuang nodded slightly in agreement. Both parties drove away and went straight to the conference building. Soon they arrived at the conference room and sat down opposite each other. This time, the military seating arrangement was headed by Tao Zhuang, and Suan Min sat next to him. A higher rank can crush a higher rank, not to mention a higher rank by 2 levels. Google searched what can. Tao Zhuang said to Suan Min, "You know more about the Mother Corps than I do. You come and talk." Suan Min nodded slightly, then looked at Luo Ren and said straight to the point without saying nonsense, "Commander Luo, I have already greeted you in advance on the phone last night. Today I'm here to settle the blood and flesh consumed by the Mother Corps in the past 3 months, and to take our share of evolution crystals. I wonder if you are ready." Luo Ren said to Suan Tong, "Show the statistical table to Deputy Commander Su." Suan Tong took out 3 statistical reports from the briefcase she was carrying, and the contents on them were exactly the same. She handed the 3 reports to Suan Min. Although she was facing her brother, she still had a serious expression and was not ambiguous at all. she said. Please, Deputy Commander Su. Su Anmin took the report and saw his sister's serious look. He shook his head helplessly, then handed a report to Tao Zuan, one to others, and kept one for himself. He looked through the entire report, not missing a single word. This was about interests, and there could be no mistakes. Because he was not representing himself, but the military. If there was a mistake, it would not be just him who would suffer, but the Jiangnan military region, or the Xia Kingdom military, so he could not be careless. 50 kilograms of flesh and blood from the mother corpse is supplied daily, and 4,850 kilograms of flesh and blood is supplied in 97 days. 43 level 1 evolution crystals are obtained in January. 51 level 1 evolution crystals are obtained in February. 53 level 1 evolution crystals are obtained in March, and 13 level 1 evolution crystals are obtained in the remaining 7 days. A total of 160 level 1 evolution crystals are obtained in 97 days for flesh and blood. The military and Xiang City each contribute half, and the amount contributed by both parties should be 2,425 kilograms. The evolution crystals are divided into 40% for the military and 60% for Xiang City. The military should be 64 crystals. Xiang City should be 96 crystals. After reading it carefully, Su Anmin nodded, turned his head to look at Tao Zuang, and said, Commander, there is no problem with the quantity. Tao Zuang also cast a glance. Such a report unilaterally prepared by Xiang City, the content on it is completely decided by Luo Ren and others. At this moment, an extremely important factor will affect the result of this liquidation, that is trust point. However, since the mother corpse was placed in Xiang City, it means that the military trusts Xiang City, and Luo Ren also handed over the 2 alien technologies to the military for management, which also made the military trust him more. Tao Zuang's tone and demeanor were very calm, and he said, you know this matter better than me. Just make the decision. Su Anmin nodded after hearing this. He certainly believed that Luo Ren would not tamper with the data related to the mother corpse, and experts have also studied that the mother corpse does consume a maximum of 50 kilograms of flesh and blood a day, and the maximum number of zombies produced in a month will not exceed 60. Therefore, the values on this report meet the standards. Of course, this standard is only for the current mother corpse. As for the high-level mother corpses, there are no now, but there may be no in the future. At that time, it is not impossible for a mother corpse to give birth to hundreds or thousands of zombies a month. Putting down the report, Su Anmin laughed and said, we carried 4 tons of flesh and blood this time, and paying 2,425 kilograms of flesh and blood is completely enough. He tilted his head to look at the fierce man and said, Master Lin, go and help the brothers in Xiang City unload the flesh and blood. Then, he said to Luo Ren, Captain Luo, please send some people to unload the flesh and blood from the transport plane. Luo Ren nodded and ordered, Luo Shan, you go and do this. Watching Luo Shan and Master Lin leave, Su Anmin retracted his gaze and smiled. The flesh and blood have been settled. I wonder if Commander Luo has prepared the 64 level 1 evolution crystals. After hearing this, Luo Ren immediately gave Su Antang a look. Su Antang nodded, then took out a black cloth bag from his briefcase. The 64 thumb-sized evolution crystals were put together, which seemed a bit heavy. After Su Antang handed the black cloth bag to Su Anmin, he said, count it and see if it's enough. Su Anmin weighed it for a few times, smiled, and said, no need to count. I believe in Commander Luo. Thank you for your trust. Luo Ren clasped his fists and bowed, paused for a moment, and seeing that no one spoke, he said, since the settlement has been completed, let's end it here. Don't rush to end it, little kid. I still have something to discuss with you. Before he finished speaking, Deputy Commander Tao Zuan, who rarely spoke, suddenly interrupted him. He thought to himself, no one comes here for no reason. The big shot is not just here to watch and sit. I wonder what he wants. Thinking so in his heart, he smiled slightly and said, General Tao, please speak. Tao Zuan had a peaceful smile on his face. Perhaps because he had been in a high position for a long time, in the eyes of outsiders, he was still serious and awe-inspiring. He nodded slightly and said, the matter of the mother corpse is not my business. What I'm here for is not the evolutionary crystal produced by the mother corpse, but for you. For me? Luo Ren asked doubtfully. Tao Zhuang nodded and said, I heard that you are a level 4 evolved human. Can you show it to me? Show. Do you think I'm a monkey? Luo Ren was secretly unhappy, but he couldn't express it in words so straightforwardly. He organized his words and said, there's no need to show it. If you don't believe it, General, then don't believe it. Although this sentence has been revised, it still sounds a bit harsh. However, when Tao Zhuang heard this, instead of being angry, the smile on his face became even bigger and he said, okay, I believe you. After a pause, he suddenly asked, little baby, what is your impression of Yingzhou people? Yingzhou people. Luo Ren rubbed his chin, thought for a while, and said, Yingzhou people are cunning, hypocritical and vicious. They should not be treated as friends. If they become enemies, they should be eradicated to avoid future troubles. Good. Tao Zhuang praised. Little friend Luo Ren has made a thorough analysis. The people of Yingzhou are exactly who you said they are. Luo Ren knew that his views were consistent with Tao Zhuang's change in title, but he was very confused. He didn't know why Tao Zhuang asked him about his impression of the Yingzhou people after asking him whether he was a level 4 evolver. Before he could ask, Tao Zhuang took the initiative to give the answer, saying, I have been a soldier for decades, and I don't like to beat around the bush. I'll just say it straight. The purpose of coming here is to ask you to help our military deal with it. Yingzhou Kingdom. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.